breakfast owner, Faye Haas, is suing former employees 34-year-old Kathy Light and 36-year-old Mark Light. Faye claims while managing her bed and breakfast, they stole money from her and wrecked her car. Kathy and Mark are countersuing for harassment and an assault.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 437 on the calendar in the matter of Haas versus Light. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
You are the owner of a bed and breakfast.
Yes,
According
ma'am.
to your complaint, you had hired the defendant to manage your operation when you were out of town. Your complaint is that Mrs. Light wrecked your car and additionally stole a substantial amount of money from you. Mrs. Light denies wrecking your car and, of course, to stealing any money from you, and in addition has countersued for harassment and an assault that took place while she was in your employ. So, Ms. Haas, when did the employment begin?
Well, Kathy came sometime, I was critically injured, and it was sometime in July, and Kathy came and said she needed a job, that she'd never been able to get one, and would I give her a chance, and she's never, to my knowledge, had any kind of job at all, so I said I would give her a chance, but I didn't check any of her records or anything.
That doesn't make you a very good business person.
No, it doesn't.
So she came to work for you in July of the year 2000?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you leave?
Well, actually, I didn't leave till October, but the incident when she wrecked the car, the two cars in particular, were us on September 30th.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was over with my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and I was over at his house in Red Bud, Illinois, and I had asked Kathy to bring me some money over. She was on my checkbook, and I asked her to bring me over $800 that we needed some money for some improvements we were going to do. So we were sitting at this like little bar and restaurant, and she came over there and she was highly intoxicated, and they asked us to leave the bar. So we took her down to Randy's mother's house, and she asked us to leave too. So Randy took Kathy up to his place where she insisted upon driving. She took the truck, and Randy was going to show her how to get to the road. It was a country road. She had a girlfriend with her who was not intoxicated. She hit the Camaro from behind with the Mazda truck and then went back to St. Louis. So she damaged not only the Mazda but the brand new Camaro, which I have saved all my life to get.
Okay. Did she continue in your employ after September the 30th?
Yeah.
She did?
Yeah.
Until what date?
Probably about November 11th when I came back from Florida, when the guest staying there had complained that she was doing a lot of narcotics.
Don't tell me what the guest
Okay.
said unless you have guests
Okay.
there.
All right.
November 11th of 2000 is when she was terminated.
Right, I had called her on the phone and said there was a lot of complaints against her, so...
So the whole month of October
Yeah, she was
and
there.
for part of November, even
Yes, ma'am.
after this accident, when
Right.
you knew she was drunk and created scenes in two places,
Right.
you continued her in your employ.
Yeah, because I felt sorry for her. She said she had cancer.
Ms. Haas,
Okay, I'm sorry.
you should be.
I wanted to keep her on because she needed a job. She told me she did.
All right, now tell me about the theft of money.
Well, she wrote like a lot of checks. I mean, she never would keep any records, and she wrote like $500 for food, but she never bought any food for the bed and breakfast guests. So then she wrote $500 for her boyfriend, Mark, to remove a tree limb, but it was never removed.
Well, I'm not going back to $500 for food. I will take a look at the paper that you have with regard to the removal of a tree limb.
Okay. Here's the tree limb is still there.
Well, this says payroll and tree service.
Kathy was not even there. I was paying her $10 an hour, but she was never there more than 20 hours a week.
Well, you know, Ms. Haas, who do you think is going to go over all these little receipts? You were paying her $10 an hour. She wasn't there for 40 hours. She only should have been paid for 20 hours.
She was supposed to send me her time record in Florida, but she never did.
Who were Randy and John?
There was friends of mine that I paid to have them drive the car up there, but Kathy seemed to have take a liking to John for some reason. I don't know.
Whatever. She's got a check here that's a memo for Randy and John.
Yeah, that's for Randy, my husband, and a friend of his.
She told me to cash a check and give them $1,000 to Randy and John to drive her vehicle up to Florida.
She did that.
Well, that's one of the things you gave me.
She did that.
What
But then
about,
there was that additional
just a second,
$500
what about $500 in cash for a phone recorder.
She had asked me to purchase a phone recorder so she can record conversations as she's talking to people. And she had a limo that was being stored at some people's house, and when I quit, I didn't even worry about getting her phone recorder. I just went and paid for the limo, gassed it up, and brought it back.
That's not true, ma'am.
Is that when you quit?
Yes.
When did you quit?
She got fired.
I quit
got
on
fired.
November the 11th, 12th, something like that.
Well, this check was written on November 5th. This is before you quit.
The check for $1,000, it was the day
I didn't ask
after.
for $1,000. I'm past the $1,000
Yeah,
already.
the check was wrote for $1,000. I quit the day after.
She got fired.
Just a second. Ms. Haas?
I'm sorry.
Don't speak out again.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. You quit the day after you wrote out the check for $1,000?
Yes, because
Fine.
I didn't like
So,
it.
you wrote out a check on November the 3rd, payroll and tree service, $400.
That was my payroll, and
What
marked it
payroll for whom?
for working for her.
So you kept your own hours.
No, Miss Haas and I had made an agreement that I would work so many hours, but she had me running errands to lawyers and doctors, which made it consume more hours.
This is all a very loose way of doing business. One final check I'm going to ask you about. You have a check to mail packages and x-rays, $500. What's x-rays?
I had to go to all these hospitals that she was in and get all her medical records. I had to Federal Express it overnight to her.
Oh, is that true?
It's $20. They were $20.
Show me a bill.
I don't have a bill for the x-rays.
Well,
but
how am I
can.
supposed to have a bill, madam?
Well,
And
maybe she
This was
does.
on October. You're supposed to keep close eye.
I was in Miami Beach, Florida.
I don't care whether you
I know,
were,
but I was
don't care
critically
whether
injured. I
you
was
were in
in the-
Panama. Listen to me.
I was in the hospital.
Listen to me. Then you don't give a stranger.
I know
a
that.
stranger who you know has an alcohol abuse problem.
I know that, madam.
You don't give somebody who you hire off the street access to your checking account,
I know that.
right? Sign them on and have no set salary for them and say they work by the hour.
It was $10
She
an
said,
hour.
well, you expect me to ask her on the 19th of October how many hours did you work?
I don't know. I was in
Well,
the
I don't know either.
I was in the hospital at the time.
On October 19th?
I was trusting her.
Well, then how do you expect me to deal with that? How do you expect
don't
any
know.
court to deal with that? I don't know either.
I mean, the car.
Let's get to the accident because that's the only thing that may have an objective facts
All right,
that I
well,
can deal
he
with.
was a witness for the accident. Randy, can you come up here? This is my husband. Tell her what happened.
Okay.
Well, we called her from the bed and breakfast to have her bring us over $800 to Redbud. And she was highly intoxicated. And I tried 3 or 4 times, to let her stay at my house. She wouldn't do it. She refused. So I took her out to the end of the road. She ran to the back of the car.
Had you been drinking?
Who, me?
That's exactly who I'm talking to, sir. Had you been drinking?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. What part of the day or night did this happen, sir?
It's probably about 8 at night.
And when had you started to drink that day?
Not at all.
Miss Haas?
So,
Miss Haas?
okay, sorry.
Believe me,
Okay.
I know my business.
All right.
Watching this will be like looking into a Ouija board.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Faye Haas says former employees Kathy Light and Mark Light stole money from her business and wrecked her car. Kathy and Mark deny the charges and say Faye assaulted Kathy with a plastic baseball bat.
What time had you started drinking that day, sir?
Probably 6:37
And where were you drinking, sir?
at a bar.
And what time had you arrived at the bar?
I wouldn't.
What do you mean you wouldn't know? What time had you arrived at the bar that day, sir?
Probably 6:37
From where?
from.
Your mom's house. I don't know. I don't know. He doesn't remember.
Miss Haas, I'm not going to take any information
All right,
from him.
all right.
Forget it. You blew it. You
I'm
understood
sorry.
where I was coming
But
from.
he doesn't know what time it was.
He doesn't know what time it was because he was drunk.
No, he
Sit
wasn't.
down.
No, he wasn't drunk.
Oh, I have to assume that because if he can't remember where he was on a day when,
but we were
when two cars collided, I don't believe you.
We were waiting for.
I don't believe you that
Okay.
he doesn't remember where he was.
All right.
If he doesn't remember where he was on this fateful day, then I have to rely on her statement
He was with
that
me.
he was drunk as a skunk. Now, she may have been. That means you got 2 drunk people driving in your 2 cars, one a Camaro and one a truck. He was drinking and she was drinking, if I believe you. Although I have a little bit of a problem with that because unless there's something wrong with you, you would not allow someone who is as drunk as you claim she was, that required her to be ejected from the bar,
I asked her.
ejected from her mother's house, and yet you would still leave her in charge of your business, giving her total access to your checking account, relying on what she did with money, relying on what she did with guests, to somebody who was clearly a danger, according to you. I have a problem with that, Ms. Haas.
I'm sorry, I'm wrong. You're right. It was stupid.
All right, Ms. Lick, tell me what happened with the car.
She had called and they had asked for money, and I had a friend of mine, Jesse, ride over with me. Well, when I got over there, she buys Jesse and I one beer. She takes me across the street to a flower shop, buys me a bouquet of flowers, and then she insists on going and unloading the truck. So we went to Randy's house and we unloaded the car. And as far as the car, there was no accident. I get home and I get this phone call from Miss Haas saying I wrecked her car. Well, them two are both drunk, so I just basically blew it off.
But after this car incident,
I continued to work for her.
you continued to work for her?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Go ahead.
I quit working for Miss Haas because she would call me on the phone and cut me down and say I'm dyslexic and this and that, and my nerves couldn't handle it no more. So I call her on the phone in Florida and tell her I quit. 3 weeks after I quit, she's accusing me of all these things. She's trying to fire me after I quit.
So let me hear about this harassment.
She has been calling, my son and I have pagers. She has been calling our pagers. She calls my son and tells him that I'm a dope dealer and that she's going to have to take him to baseball games because I'm going to be in a federal penitentiary, because she's going to see to it that I go to a federal penitentiary. I went and got a restraining order against her.
Let me see it.
Not true. Kathy, shame on you. Shame on you.
Ms. Haas, you consented to the entry of a restraining order against you by your counsel. Is that right?
I was in the hospital and I could not go. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
The answer is yes. If you're in
Yes.
the hospital and you can't go, then your attorney asks for postponement.
I don't know what he did, ma'am.
Of course you do.
No, I don't. I really don't, Judge Judy.
He consented to this entry
Well, he went there supposedly to postpone it.
December 20th of the year 2000. He consented to the entry of an order of protection.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but I've never laid a hand on Kathy. She wanted me to adopt her.
And the order of protection specifically says you are not to
I want nothing to do with
abuse,
Kathy.
threaten, molest, stalk, disturb, and no telephone calls, and shall not communicate with her in any way whatsoever.
Right.
Now, you came back from Florida on November 11th.
Right.
And according to you, you told me that you were in the hospital in Florida.
I was in the hospital in Florida, in Jackson Memorial Hospital and Mount Sinai.
Well, what'd you go to Florida for?
To get another opinion on my arm that was going to be amputated.
And when were you admitted to the hospital? When you returned in November?
2 days later, a week later, I was admitted to the hospital for
So that would be the 18th of November.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long were you hospitalized?
2 days.
Were you re-hospitalized at any time after November? Believe me, I will check.
No, no.
So that you were not in the hospital at the time that your attorney entered a consent order. You just said you told him to go there and not do anything, put it over because you were in the hospital.
I could not leave the house. I was not allowed to.
Just a second. So that you were not hospitalized as you originally said.
But I had a nurse at home and I could not leave the house.
All right. It's a month later. Month after your surgery. People recover from open heart surgery faster. After this order of protection was issued, were there any other harassing phone calls?
Yes, I have them on tape here.
Let me hear.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, it's Ken. Guess what? Lisa and Paul's going to testify in court. What kind of guy lives with his brother's wife? Low-life Hoosier.
I said that.
Yeah, Mark, it's Faye. I got the restraining order from the sheriff. We never had any intention of hurting Kathy, but I am going to file criminal charges against you, Mark Light, and Kathy Light for dealing methamphetamine, marijuana, prescription drugs, not only out of my home, but my place of business. We're going to bring up Kathy's past arrest record. So when you show up in court, you better spend about 10 grand to have a very, very good attorney. We are not threatening you. We want nothing to do with people like you, Mark and Kathy Leach. Have a nice evening. Yeah, Mark, it's fine. Have Kathy send me the money for the 2 cars she wrecked when she was drunk on her. I mean, that night said she dealt methamphetamines out of my house. End of messages.
I also have tape here of her calling and leaving messages. I will go ahead and play this for you.
How do you think you and Kathy could be having marijuana out of your house? The sheriff will be down there. Either pay me back or you go to jail. Yeah, now tell your girlfriend Kathy Leach, also known as a major drug addict, to bring back the gift certificates to her and all the food certificates she sold. What a woman.
Okay.
I said that. I did. I was
That letter,
I was frustrated.
You were frustrated. You were breaking the law.
Okay. What? I'm sorry about that.
Huh?
I'm sorry
You were
about the
breaking the law?
attorney. I'm sorry about the attorney I got to go down there.
Well, that's not my problem.
I know
madam.
that,
That's your
but-
problem. You were clearly aware that you were served with a final order of protection. Final order of protection said absolutely no contact, and specifically no telephone calls.
She had all my records at her house. How was I supposed to get them? Go down to her house? Her neighbor's very dangerous.
I don't quite frankly care what precipitated it. All I care about is there was an order that you were made aware of by service, because you indicate on this that you
But I
had
asked her why she was
No,
doing that
you
to
may
me.
not ask a question.
I was asking you why she would do that to
You
me.
don't
when I-
ask me any questions. I'm telling you. You
right.
were served with an order, you were on notice, you continued to harass her, and in addition, you violated the order.
and as far as her abusing me, she would hit me with plastic bats and wooden and metal canes
When did you do that?
when I was working for her.
Why didn't you leave?
Mark had made a joke to her about telling her that she had to stop hitting me and leaving bruises because she would have to pay $50 for each bruise and $100 for blood, and we was just joking about that. But that was to get her to stop hitting on me.
So insane. She's so nuts.
Listen to me.
I'd leave too if somebody did that.
This is certainly not a think tank here. However, if I'm working for somebody and they even think about hitting me, I'm gone.
I know, but
I know. You don't make
She
a game
didn't
of it.
do
Every
it.
time she hits you, leaves a bruise, you get $50, $100 for drawing blood. I mean, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Your claim against her is dismissed. You have no proof, and I'm not satisfied with hubby's proof that he wasn't responsible for this accident. You have no tangible proof that she stole anything from you. You do have proof, however, that she continued, despite the issuance of this protective order, to continue to call you, which is in violation of the protective order, and on the counterclaim, I am awarding you $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Guys, this is case number 413 on the calendar in the matter of Jones versus Bell.
Thank you, Bird.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Jones, according to the complaint that I've read, the defendant, who was your former girlfriend, then your fiancé, owes you for certain things, according to you. You say that while you were either engaged or dating, a car was purchased that you paid for.
Yes,
How much was the car?
$1,623.
Okay. And that while the car was in her possession, being used by the defendant, and the two of you were together, you maintained the car. So when the car needed repairs, who took it in?
I did in the beginning. We moved to Little Rock, and I was gone 10 hours a day, and I entrusted Kelly to make the maintenance.
So she took the car in to be repaired.
No, she didn't take it in to be repaired. The car henceforth died. The motor seized from lack of attention,
Okay.
mechanical attention, and
And
it's dead.
so's your romance. Tell me about this loan for $1,623.
We had an agreement when I bought the car that she would repay me. This was the agreement from the beginning of our relationship.
No, just tell me about the car. I don't know.
The car was, I will purchase a car if she reimburses me.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a
It is,
second.
it is true.
When did
And
you
she was
purchase
to
the car?
repay
When
me.
did you purchase? When did you purchase the car?
I purchased the car $415.99.
And when did your relationship eventually terminate?
Officially it terminated Thanksgiving last year.
The repairs, the upkeep on the car was paid by you.
Correct.
From May of 1999 through November of 1999, how much did she pay you back on this alleged loan?
Zero.
Why didn't you discuss it with her?
I did many times.
Yes. And what happened?
Nothing. Nothing happened. I
But-
talked.
And yet you continued to pay for the repairs,
Correct.
even though she wasn't paying for the car.
Correct.
Car now is useless.
Correct.
Well, you don't get much for $1,600 for a Mercedes. How old a Mercedes was this?
I believe it was a 69.
What year?
It was in 1970, and he paid $1,000 for it. It was a donation car. And
Here's
he
the
paid,
here's
he
the
paid
receipt for the
$1,000 for the
purchase.
car, Your Honor.
Let me see.
There's the purchase.
Just a second. When did you buy the...
Your Honor.
It is. That's the receipt from memory lane.
Who went to pick out the car?
I did.
Where was she?
At home.
How come you didn't go with him?
Because he was going to stop by and look at the car after work. And I didn't want to go with him and spend all day sitting in a car from 7 a.m. in the morning until 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
So he went by himself?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of an arrangement did you have with regard to paying him back for this car?
There was no arrangement. At the time we moved to Little Rock, we only had one vehicle. I was not working because I did not have a car. And when he bought me the car, there was never, it was a gift because I wanted to go to work.
Did you start working immediately after
Yes,
you
ma'am.
purchased the car?
Yes, ma'am.
No, she didn't.
How much later?
Little over a month because her
Okay,
niece
so-
and nephew moved in and she had to babysit them for a
Okay,
month.
so let's
and
say a
half.
month. But within a month, she went back to work.
Part-time.
She went to work. But she didn't start paying you back for the car. Did you ask her to sign a note for this car?
No,
Your Honor, he...
I did not.
Why not?
Because at the time she's my fiance and I trusted what she told me. I don't...
Mr. Jones, do you think that if you got married, she was going to give you back this money for the car?
Yes, I did. I believe she would at least start contributing money to the relationship, which she never did.
That's a different thing. Contributing money to the relationship is a different thing than paying you back on a specific loan. So is what you're telling me that you believe that were your engagement to have developed into a marriage, she would have still owed you this $1,600?
Yes. That was the agreement we had made.
I don't believe that. Let's get on to the other things that you're suing her for. You're suing her for the return of the engagement ring that he's entitled to. You
Yes,
understand
ma'am.
that?
Yes, ma'am.
The engagement was broken, in my judgment, an engagement ring is given in contemplation of marriage, and if the contract is breached, for whatever reason, whoever breaches it, he's entitled to the ring back. So,
Yes, ma'am, I agree. The ring was lost and stolen 6 months before we even started having any problems.
It's
Is
not
that true?
No,
Yes,
no, it's
Your
not.
Honor, it
Just a
is
sec.
true.
No,
Just a second.
she said she lost the engagement ring in December. Before she moved out of the house. She informed me a month before she moved out.
that's what I'm asking you.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking you. Before the relationship was terminated,
I had
she
told
came
him...
home one day and said the ring was either lost or stolen? Is
No.
that what, well, how did it happen? sir?
No, we ended the relationship at Thanksgiving when she stranded me at the airport and left me there, and when she picked me up, she got drunk. That's why I ended the relationship.
I don't
It was
care why you
Thanksgiving.
ended the
Then-
relationship,
Then
sir.
she told me after this, several weeks after this, that she had lost the engagement ring. And she did not tell me when she lost it. She may have lost it 6 months before, but she did not inform me of that.
Well, didn't you see her not wearing the ring?
I did not. I didn't ask her about it.
He asked me several times, Kelly, where's your ring?
No,
I said, I'm
that's not
looking
true.
for it.
She
I
never-
think I
she
left it
never
at work.
looked
It was
for it.
stolen at work. I know it was
She
stolen
never.
at work.
Why? How could it be stolen? Someone stole it off her finger at work.
How can you not-
Up until then, I had never seen her take it off.
Up until when?
Up until the time she told me it was gone.
You hadn't noticed it not on her hand? Did she
I did
wear
not.
it? I mean, I'm not talking about the Hope diamond here, because according
It
to
was
you...
a 1-carat platinum diamond ring. How can you not notice it?
Listen to me.
Excuse me.
Wherever it was, you got a good deal, because according to you, you spent $650 for the ring. Is that right?
That is correct.
$650 for a 1-carat platinum diamond ring. I want to know where you do your shopping. I'm going.
There's the receipt.
Can I have it, please? Okay, good. Then you claim, Mr. Jones, that she owes you for some damage to your property that was done by her dogs. Want to tell me about that?
Well, there's a lot of vet bills that lead up into that. Yeah.
I'm not
some-
interested in the vet bills.
Yeah, her dogs chewed up a couple pairs of my work boots, a Christmas gift I received from my grandmother the year before, and a carpet that I had purchased.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes, we were out in the house in Little Rock.
So, you expect her to reimburse you for
I
that?
only expect her to reimburse me on the items she said she would. She was responsible for the dogs. They were her dogs.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Matthew Jones says his ex-fiancée, Kelly Bell, owes him for an unpaid loan and damage to his belongings caused by her dogs. Matthew says Kelly also owes him for a lost engagement ring.
Are you telling me you said to her, you have to replace these boots because these are your dogs?
Incorrect. That is not what I said. That
I
is
didn't
not
think
how,
so.
That is not how the conversation transpired.
Well, how did the conversation transpire?
What transpired is I've got destroyed boots. I'm upset. They're
So?
very expensive work boots.
Yes.
Kelly volunteered to reimburse me for them. They were her dogs. I never approached her with, hey, you owe me. I've never said, hey, you owe me, ever in this relationship. All I'm asking for is what we agreed on orally that she would reimburse me for personal bills I incurred maintaining her.
Mr. Jones?
Because she's living with me, that makes me responsible for her car.
You're angry.
I'm hurt.
Well, you may be angry, you may be hurt, and all I can tell you is what I've said to many women who were usually standing in your place with the guy on this side. You're really much better off for yourself to put a period and get over it. Now, I think that you are absolutely entitled to $650 from her for the engagement ring. I'm going to tell you why. If through her own negligence, unless she can show me a police report where she filed a report that the ring was stolen, the ring was misplaced, if it was misplaced at all, due to her negligence. And you shouldn't be out that money. I am not persuaded, however, that the car that was purchased was a loan.
Then why would I buy a car? I already owned a vehicle.
You bought a car because the two of you...
I would not buy her another one unless I was going to be reimbursed.
I don't believe that, Mr.
I'm the
Jones.
only one who was working at the time. I was the only one providing an income for both of us. I was paying every bill,
right.
and
Mr.
she
Jones,
needed to get to work. She refused
Mr. Jones,
to work.
You are...
And she had to come
You're
up with a vehicle.
speaking and I'm speaking. I can tell you only one thing, sir. I can't hear you when I'm speaking, because when I'm speaking, I only listen to one voice. What you just said to me further emphasizes the fact that you didn't expect at the time to be reimbursed for this car, because you said to me, at the time I purchased this car, I was supporting the entire household. She wasn't working. She had no source of income. I wanted to get her working. That's why she got the car, because she couldn't get a job unless she had a car. I do not believe, and I am the judge of the facts in this trial, that there was a valid agreement for her to repay you for this car that either you paid $1,000 for or $1,600 for, or the bills to maintain the car. According to you, she had absolutely no way of repaying that money at the time that you bought the car. As far as the dogs are concerned, that's sort of foolish. People living together with an idea of getting married.
That's not what I'm suing for on the dogs. I am suing for vet bills, money I had to pay to the vet to maintain the dog's health. I'm not, I didn't
Don't
even,
do it.
You
Don't do it.
You don't let someone you love dogs die because they can't afford to pay the dog.
Did you buy her the dogs?
No, I did not buy her the dogs.
She bought the dogs herself?
They were free. They were mutts.
Who brought the dogs home?
I drove in my car to pick up one from Little Rock. The other one I got as a stray from a gentleman I worked with
So the answer is you brought the dogs into the house?
No.
Mr. Jones.
So I got to suffer?
No, just answer my question, sir. You brought the dogs into the house.
No, I only brought one dog in. She carried the other dog in.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $650 as indicated. I believe she owes you for the ring. Miss Bell, you're well out of it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He beat the dogs in the head with the boots that they chewed up. And that's all I have to say. Trust no one but God and your animals. That's the only comment.
I didn't bring up any dirt. I didn't bring up anything about that. I just wanted what she promised to pay me back.
And now the next case.
All parties on Jerome versus Gray. Step forward, please.
30-year-old computer support technician Michael Jerome is suing his ex-wife, 28-year-old administrative technician Christina Gray, for an overpayment of child support. Christina is countersuing for attorney fees and alienation from their daughter.
Mr. Jerome, you and the defendant had once been married. You have one child. You have a daughter together?
Yes.
Who is 8?
Yes.
For a period of time after you were divorced or while separated, your daughter lived with your former wife. More recently, after a lengthy custody battle, I assume, you were awarded full-time custody of your daughter.
Yes.
There was a time when child support, which was being paid to the defendant, was coming right out of your check.
That's right.
And your claim is that the money continued to come out of your check after the time that your daughter came to reside with you on a full-time basis.
Yes.
So you want to be reimbursed for the overpayment for child support. In what amount do you believe you have overpaid child support?
$642, I believe.
When did your daughter come to live with you on a full-time basis?
Christmas Eve, 1999.
And do you have pay stubs to show child support paid after that date?
I have the accounting from the child support.
I'll see it. All right. Defense to his request for the overpayment is, in fact, he still owes you some money
Yes,
in arrears.
that's correct.
I'm looking at this, sir. Do you still owe arrears on the original order?
No, I don't. When I was awarded custody, the judge made it clear that he was awarding attorney's fees in the amount to offset the arrearage, and we would have a clean slate.
Well, let me see that order where he says that. Let me see if... Oh, well, that's very easy, sir. I don't know why you're here. Because according to the printout from the sport collection unit that you've given me, you did, in fact, pay, pursuant to the income deduction order, after your daughter was in your custody, an amount of $642.
Yes.
That's clear. It is also clear from what you have given me that you are thousands of dollars in arrears on the original order from when your daughter was living with your former wife, right? And what the court has said, yes. It says total billed, $13,000 and change. Total to date collected, $9,172. So even according to this, giving you credit for the $642, you still owe her over $4,000 in arrears.
That's not right.
Well, that's what this paper says, sir.
The judge ordered there to be a zero balance at the time of the transfer.
Show me where the judge said that there's a zero balance. Take a look. Well, that's a different order. That's a good order. I don't know how you managed that. Judge must have been very angry with you because this order says that the petitioner, that's him, has incurred $5,043 in reasonable attorney's fees and that he is in arrears of approximately $5,043. Petitioner has fully paid and satisfied, therefore, the judgment for child support up to and through April 1st of 2000. End of case. So he must have been angry at the protracted nature of this case for some reason. In any event, you owe him $642. That's the overpayment. All right. Now, let's get to your counterclaim. Ms. Gray, you're counterclaiming for $5,000 for mental anguish and lost wages as a result of endless court appearances and mediations.
Correct, Your Honor.
I don't think that you get paid for that, do you?
Your Honor, this is 9 years of ongoing court battles that have got nothing to do with anything but him being angry because I left 8 years ago and taking my daughter.
I assume that there were periods of time when you were not visiting with your daughter, is that right?
Yes.
And were those periods of time during which there were court-ordered visitations?
Yes.
Ms. Gray, what I'm telling you is I'm an old family court practitioner, and there has to be some very serious circumstance before a judge will transfer custody of a child from one parent to another.
That's what my attorney told me, too. That's why he was so confident we wouldn't lose Chelsea.
Well, your attorney may have told you that. However, what I'm telling you is when it appears that the child is being deprived of an ongoing and meaningful relationship with one parent because another parent is frustrating orders of visitation, after a while what happens is the judge says, I'm going to give you one more chance, and if we don't follow through with it, you're going to lose custody. And your attorney says to you, that's never going to happen. They're never going to take your little girl away from you. Does that sound a little bit familiar to you?
Very familiar.
Right.
Never mind that he denied the visitation.
Because aside from serious abuse or neglect, that's the only reason that judges will take a child away from one parent who has been the custodial parent for years because that parent is frustrating the relationship with the child with the other parent. Judge got fed up. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $642. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 400 on the calendar in the matter of Montano versus Martinez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Montano, you and the defendant were in a sort of an on-again, off-again relationship. According to your complaint, the defendant ran into some financial difficulty surrounding his mortgage payment on a house that he had purchased. He asked you for a loan. You gave him a loan. Shortly thereafter, your relationship terminated. You want him to pay you back for that specific loan and for some other credit card charges that he made. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant acknowledges that you took out a loan from which he made a mortgage payment and paid some other bills, was far less than you're suing him for. Says that he repaid you some of the money, $500, and he has a counterclaim for property that he said that you are withholding from him that is worth several $1,000s. Is that what this is about?
Yes.
Okay. Were you living together in his house at the time that you took out this loan?
No, Your Honor, we were at my house in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
But you had purchased a house?
Yes. I was working in Albuquerque, so it was very convenient for me to be with her at her house for the community.
But you had purchased a house when?
December of '99.
How much money did you advance him for the mortgage payments? The loan, Your Honor, was for $4,456.
$4,456. Now listen to me carefully. Did you give him all of that money, or did you use some of that money to pay some of your own bills?
I used $300 of it to pay like the electric bill and the water bill. $300 of it was mine. The rest of it was Saul's.
Did you give it to him in a check?
It was cash. I have documentation of as the whole pack. This is the loan, 650. That's with interest and everything. And the only reason I agreed to borrow that loan, Your Honor, is because he promised and he swore that he would pay every single payment. I borrowed it on August the 8th of 2000, and September the 9th of 2000, he was gone, packed up and left my trailer home exactly 30 days to the date.
How many house payments was he behind?
A couple.
No, it was only one, Your Honor. It wasn't behind. I was going to be late because of the fact that my pay period landed past the due date.
Well, bill collectors were already calling my home, Your Honor, so. And the reason it's for $4,000 is because, well, my loan, this is my friend, she's a loan officer that loaned the money to me at Beneficial Financial.
Yes.
And that's with interest and everything, and he knew that interest was going to be piled up on top of that loan, and it didn't matter to him. He said, whatever it takes, I will pay it back.
Who's the loan officer at the bank? Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Lisa Polk.
And you are a friend of the plaintiffs?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the two of them come in together?
No, ma'am. The transaction was initiated by Militia calling me and telling me that her boyfriend had seen her mail and that we had sent out a flyer to her approving her for a loan, and she wanted to go ahead and carry through with that loan because he needed help. On that document that you're looking at, you can see that we have Saul Martinez underneath her name, and then I also highlighted the area where it says roommate and boyfriend. We tried to run the loan on his credit. It didn't go through, so we just used his income to bump up her annual income so that she could apply for more money for him.
Your Honor, he also used some of that money to purchase school clothes for his son.
I paid, those are the $500 she cannot remember that I paid her.
He did not pay me back no $500, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, it says, there's a letter that I wrote to him trying to see if we could work things out in an honorable way so that I could get on with my life, because he has been, the whole year and a half that we were together, he was unfaithful.
I don't care about his being unfaithful. That's your problem.
Well, it says
I also have a copy of the letter that she wrote me also.
I have the same letter.
Can I see it, please?
Of the amount of money she's asking for.
Can I see it, please? I don't want to see it.
And it is nowhere totals up to $4,000.
Your Honor.
Just a minute. You wrote him this letter. And you say in this letter, I borrowed $2,000 plus $1,700 was for the house payment and school clothes. The rest I used for my bills. Now, a reading of that statement, Ms. Montano, is that he borrowed $1,700 and the rest, the $2,000, you used for your own bills.
No, ma'am, I did not use.
Well, I want you to read it, look at it very carefully.
I did not use $2,000 for my own bills.
And that's what happens when you don't have a note, madam. That's what happens when you don't have a note, when you don't have some agreement in writing.
Your Honor, I was the loan officer, and I can vouch that she did come in and ask for this money for her boyfriend. That's why her boyfriend was on it.
Just a second. Was he there?
No, he sent me.
Shh. No, just a second.
I was working.
He wasn't there.
No, ma'am.
He wasn't there. So she may have said she needed it, and she got more money because of his salary. That was your problem because you're the loan officer. I wouldn't take that information when somebody else wasn't there.
Also, my mortgage payment, Your Honor, is $1,096. It's not $1,700 bucks. The money that I gave her back for the school clothes was out of a check. The $1,700.
Show me.
No, I don't have no receipts for the clothes, Your Honor. I don't have any receipts for the clothes. I don't.
Not for the clothes. Show me where you gave her $500.
Oh, I don't. I don't have any proof of that. We were still in very good terms at the time, and it really didn't seem like anything had to be put on paper because.
That's a problem, folks.
Yes, I understand.
And, Your Honor, we also have police reports where not only is this a case about the loan, but the credit card that she was offered when she got the loan, she also took out, and he took that credit card and charged up that credit card.
$500 of it.
I did not charge anything on that credit card.
Just a second. Do you have the bills?
Yes.
Those credit card bills?
Yes, I have documentation, and we also have a.
Shh, just a second. Show me what was purchased on the credit card.
Cowboy boots for Saul.
Levi's
for Saul.
She purchased those for me before we went to a biker run in Ignacio, Colorado.
Let me just
on her own free will. That was not charged on mine because I don't have a credit card. She had a credit card.
It was on my name because the loan officer lent me the money.
Miss Montana?
She bought them herself out of her own free will.
For him, I don't think
be quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to hear anybody till I look at the documents.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe the credit card bill is also on the back of the documentation that you have.
Albertsons, which is a food store.
Right, because I had to buy groceries on a credit card because of it.
Please, listen to me. No. Shell, I assume that's for gas for a car?
No.
Yes, it was. So we put it on the credit card.
You don't get paid for that, madam. You don't get paid for that.
He charged it.
He charged it.
Now you can sit down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I never physically touched that credit card. Every time she used it, it was willingly with her permission.
Just a second. Mr. Martinez, I'm not saying you're a doll, believe me. And I'm saying that in all probability, you probably took advantage of her a little bit financially.
No, ma'am.
Don't disagree with me. It's a very stupid thing to do.
Okay, I agree.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Militia Montano says ex-boyfriend Saul Martinez asked her to take out a loan so he could pay back his mortgage. She claims he's never paid back the money.
So you took advantage of her financially. Sometimes that happens in a relationship. You don't get paid for being foolish. You don't get paid for food. No court, Miss Montano, is going to go through your bills from a time when you were living together and saying $11.63 for gas, $126 at Albertson Food Store, $6.12 for oil and gas in the car. There is no court that's going to do that. Understand me. That's not going to happen. I've said it 1,000 times. It's too bad you haven't heard it. If you loan somebody money, you get it in writing. This is a loan. This is what you owe me. Sign it. Now, the problem is the only writing that I have with regard to this loan that you made for him is a loan for $1,700. I borrowed $2,000 plus $1,700 was for the house payment and school clothes. Those are your words. So I have to make a judgment based upon the evidence that I get. So I find that he actually owes you that $1,700 that was September of 2000. Now, how much have you paid towards that, sir?
Your Honor, I had made agreements to pay her. When she wrote me that letter, I didn't respond to it right away.
Why not?
Because I was working.
What do you mean? What difference does that make?
I responded to her house when I went over there to get my stuff, because if you continue to read the letter, she says she wants to give me back my stuff. When I went to get it, she said, F you, leave. Okay, so I left. And what I understand now, she works with my brother, is that she sold my stuff. Because
what
she wrote,
stuff?
Which is a bicycle, a lot of other stuff. The main thing is my bicycle.
Okay. What kind of bicycle was it?
It's a KHS, it's a mountain bike.
Do you have his mountain bike?
I sold his mountain bike, Your Honor, and I have a bill of sale, an estimate, and photographs of it. I sold it actually for the September payment of beneficial for $220. I was broke. I didn't know what else to do.
Show me a bill of sale.
There you go.
I also have receipts of my bike when I bought it.
Let me see.
Let
me see.
The value of it, I went
Let
back to
me
the store
just-
when I bought it. There's also a receipt in there for a rug that she kept of mine also.
Just a second. How much of this loan did you in fact pay her back? Nothing, is that right?
No, she
Zero.
refused to
Oh,
give me my
zero.
stuff back.
Okay.
I had made arrangements to pay her, Your Honor.
What
and
was
she
the
didn't.
date of the loan that you took out? When did you take out
August
the
the
loan?
8th of 2000. 30 days to the date, so it was gone.
Okay.
With toilet paper, actually, Your Honor, from my home. Toilet paper, toothpaste, everything.
Listen to me.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
That's your problem.
I know.
You not only took them back once, you took them back several times,
Yes, I
according
did.
to you. So, I need some calculations from you. What would be the interest on $1,700 for 4 months?
Oh my God, I don't have a...
Approximately. You want a calculator?
I need a business calculator.
I also had to take in a roommate so that he could help me. I know that's my problem again, but...
It is your problem. How much is it?
Approximately about $2,300
For 4 months?
for 4 months.
$2,300 less $220, which she got for the bike, is $2,080.
It was not worth $200. She must have been
I
very
have
desperate
no
to sell
idea
it.
what it was worth. That's what she
course
sold
I
it
was.
for. She sold it when you didn't give her money for the payment that you were supposed to give her.
When I went to get my stuff back, like she requested for me, that she said she wanted to give my... Everything was good till then.
Did you sell the bike before or after he came over that day?
Way before.
So the bike you didn't have?
I didn't have the bike.
Okay. Did you tell him you didn't have the bike?
Exactly.
No, no, no.
Yes, I did.
No, you did
When
not.
did... Hey,
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
what do you understand?
Be quiet.
Now, what other property, sir, does she have that's yours, that you want
I
back?
don't-
Because that's your counterclaim.
Oh, it's on my counterclaim. It's just my rug, which you have a receipt up there.
You have his rug?
You have pictures of it. Yes, I do.
You have his rug?
Yes, I don't
okay,
want it.
that you're going to return.
Yes, I will.
And
Gladly.
other little stuff like the
I'm
little
not
TVs.
interested in other little stuff.
Okay,
I'm interested in big stuff. I have
That's
no
it.
time for little stuff.
that's it.
Good. Okay. This is what you owe her, sir, so that she's not going to have to wait for your payment every month. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,080. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Get your rug back within 5 days. That takes care of your counterclaim.
What amazes me the most is her ability and how convenient it is for her to forget all the times I paid for her divorce, when I paid for her trailer and her trailer space and all utilities when I first met her prior to me buying her house. That was all conveniently forgotten.
Saul Martinez is just, he's an idiot, cleverly disguised as a man. And I was victimized, I was in love, and I was victimized.
And now the next case.
All parties on Howard versus Johnson. Step forward, please.
32-year-old grocery stocker Joseph Howard is suing ex-girlfriend, 27-year-old homemaker Elisha Johnson for the return of 10 years of child support payments. Joseph says DNA test proved he's not the father of her son.
Mr. Howard, did you know that for many, many years I was a sitting judge in the family court in New York?
No, ma'am.
Well, I was. And in the family court in New York, one of the kinds of cases we heard were paternity cases. You know what paternity cases are, right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you also know that during that time, Officer Byrd was my court officer, along with court officer of several other judges, but my favorite. And he listened very carefully to what was going on.
Okay.
He was really interested. So I'm going to tell you,
Okay.
and at the same time, Officer Byrd is going to listen
Okay.
to the facts of this case.
Okay.
And you may get your answer from me, or you may get your answer from Officer Byrd.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
He's a pretty smart guy.
Okay.
Been around the block.
All right.
In 1989, you and the defendant had a brief relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, sometime in 1989, the defendant told you that she was pregnant with your child.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is that from 1989 to 2000,
Yes, ma'am.
you labored under the impression that you were the father of this child.
Yes, ma'am.
And while you never went to court
Yes,
to
ma'am.
be legally declared the father, never went to court to establish your paternity, pay a regular support order for the child, you did, in fact, during that time, buy occasional clothes and diapers and other things for the child.
Yes.
You have married now.
Yes.
You want to have this matter finally resolved, so she files for support?
No, the state filed.
State filed on your behalf for support for the child. You went and took the DNA test, and the DNA test came back that you were not the child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are suing her for $5,000
Yes, ma'am.
for the assorted clothes and stuff that you may have bought during the 11 years and for a lot of mental anguish.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
What do you think?
I don't think he's got a real chance here.
When the defendant told you in 1989 that she was pregnant, why didn't you go to court?
I just didn't go. I just feel like, hey, I just take care of my responsibility. I didn't have no reason to go to court.
Well, your answer says, sir, that you doubted at that time that you were the father of this child.
Yes, because it was just like a one-time deal, and she come tell me, okay, you pregnant. I mean, I'm pregnant.
So then, Mr. Howard, if you had some doubts as to what your responsibilities were, then you go to court.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Go to court, you file a paternity proceeding, you say, I want to be declared the father of this child, I want to take blood tests. If I'm the father of this child, I want to pay support, I want a regular schedule of visitation, which you complain about that you didn't have here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But you didn't do that.
No.
So what do you want me to do?
I mean, for 10 years, she just told me, just led me on for 10 years.
Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, it's not as if you didn't have sex with the defendant.
No, I'm not denying that.
So it is possible that you were the father, right?
Yeah, it's possible. But she told me unequivocally, without a doubt, I was the only one. So
well, Mr. Howard, she told you unequivocally you were the only one, you didn't live together, it was a one-time deal according to you, so then you'd be smart.
Okay.
But then you don't come to a court and say, now you have to fix up the last 11 years because I've been through all this mental anguish when you could have taken care of it 11 years ago.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Case is dismissed.
Thank you, Lord.
Right, Bertie?
Thank you, dear Lord.
Number 412 on the calendar in the matter of Gilbert versus Von Lossberg. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Gilbert, you were a tenant of the defendants for approximately a year and a half. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Did you have a lease?
I believe it was a month-to-month lease, yes, Your Honor.
You did not have a long-term lease. You were there month to month.
That's correct.
Your claim is that the defendant evicted you.
That's correct.
And in addition to evicting you, she destroyed some of your property and she kept some of your security deposit. You also want her to pay for storage of your stuff, moving costs. So let's start with this. You did not have a lease.
That's correct.
You claim she evicted you.
Yes, ma'am.
She says that you voluntarily left. Let's get to that.
Item A that I have in evidence is a 30-day notice to quit that was taped to my door the day August 2nd, which is the day that most of this occurred.
You want to tell me briefly what happened that day?
I enjoy very much working in my yard. On this morning, I had finished the night before, just coming home after 3 months of work. I'm home for only 7 or 8 days, and I'm gone another 3 months. Did the gardening, and a stranger walked into the front yard. I picked up my hose that was watering some plants, and I asked him what he was doing. I went outside. I was inside when I asked him this. I went outside and asked him what he was doing, and was told to my face that he was my new gardener and that he was Mrs. Vaughn's nephew. And I explained that I'd done most of the yard work and that all he really needed to do today was cut the yard. He turned around and ran next door, immediately followed by Mrs. Vaughn and a good number of her other family members. And I explained that these plants were mine and I could do with as I wish. She immediately turned around and took one of the plants and stripped it right down to its bare stalks. That picture I have here, this is a former palm tree that Mrs. Vaughn at the time took and stripped of its branches. At that point, I was so angry, Your Honor, the only thing that I could think to do was to go inside the house and call the police, and that's what I did.
Was that the first time you had disputes with the defendant?
No, actually, Your Honor, I ordered Media One to install the cable service and a phone service and combine them with DSL line into my house here. And immediately the next day, Mrs. Vaughn informed me that she did not like Media One as a company and did not approve of them coming to install this on her house without my obtaining her permission.
Mr. Gilbert, let me stop you for a moment, please, sir. You know what it is to be a month-to-month tenant. Month-to-month tenant means that she can give you this 30-day notice to leave, and she doesn't have to give you any reason.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So you are not entitled to moving costs, storage costs of your stuff, any other damages. You're not entitled to that. Is her house immediately next door to yours?
It was, yes.
Well, where you used to live. It
Yes.
still is. It didn't
Yes.
float away in the
Yes.
rain. It's still there. All right. She doesn't want somebody living next to her who calls the police on her because she destroys a tree. Right? Once, by the way, you put this tree in the ground, this tree does not become yours.
If I pay rent on a property that I maintain until I leave that property, is the property not mine, Your Honor?
No, the property is not yours, sir. The property always is hers. And while it's not nice to do this to a tree, I can understand why this lady didn't want you living next door after the police were called even once, even though you may have felt that you had cause because she stripped the branches of this tree. So she's entitled to evict you, so you're not entitled to those damages. However, you also have a claim, sir, for withholding your security deposit. How much security deposit did she withhold?
She withheld $779.80, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Ms. Vaughn? You admit that you withheld some security deposit, is that right?
I have a hearing problem.
Well, I can't shout any louder.
I'm sorry.
I
heard you say something about a...
Did you withhold security deposit?
He had an $1,100 security deposit. When he moved out, I spent a portion of that to clean the apartment because when he left another person in that house that was sleeping in the living room. When I entered the place after he left, the sink was littered with beer cans, whiskey bottles, and whatever.
Show
and
me
I
pictures.
spent money for cleaning that.
Show me pictures.
I didn't take a picture, I'm
You
sorry.
got a problem.
But I refunded him $300 and some out of the security deposit.
You have to show me, Miss Vaughn, do you hear me carefully? You have to show me exactly what you spent.
I think I do have the receipts here, Your Honor.
Let me see. You can show it.
He'll have to assist me.
Your Honor, I can maybe save you some time. I have a copy of both the receipt
Let me
and
see.
the
We had the
deposit
receipt.
refund form she sent me.
I have to excuse you, but you're 80 years old.
Your Honor, I claim that receipt to be a company that doesn't exist.
Oh, right there.
That the
Right
handwriting on it matches the form.
Just a second, just a second, just a second.
Okay.
Plus the damages on the outside of the house.
What's the name of the company that repaired the doorbell, painted and cleaned, and put in new locks?
I don't know what the name of the company is.
Now, what's the name of the company?
It doesn't have a heading on it. Don't have it on there. Otherwise, my...
Miss Vaughn?
Yes.
Either I don't believe that you did all this stuff, or I believe that somebody else did it for you, like a family member. You are not entitled to put in new locks. You're entitled to clean if you show me that the place was filthy. That was $70. You have two different bills here for painting, one for $350 and one for $380. But nowhere does it tell me who did the painting.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand that.
There's no proof.
That's right.
And you have no pictures to show me of what this place looked like.
No, I didn't think of...
Who are you?
I'm her witness, her daughter.
Come on. Do you live with your mother?
No. I live on one side of my mother, and he lived on the other side of
Yes.
my mother. And my daughter lived 2 doors down.
I don't care
from-
where everybody lived.
All
Did
right.
you go into the house on the day he left?
Yes.
Did you take pictures of the house on the day he left?
My daughter did, I didn't.
Fine, where are the pictures?
She has since moved to Pomona, and
That's not my problem. You don't have the pictures.
Before he moved, she told me that she
I don't
has-
care what listen to
All
me.
right.
Listen to me.
All right. I was
You
told...
can't tell me what anybody else told
Okay.
you. You can tell
When
me.
we went in-
Pay careful attention. Listen, I want you to start receiving. Did you see anything else? Look at me. Did you see
Yes.
What else did you see?
He had put up some shelves in the utility porch in the back.
Yes.
That weren't there before he rented.
Yes.
And instead of washing the walls or to make things right, he either spot painted or spot cleaned, because when you look down the angle of the wall, you could see splotches where he had either spot painted or spot cleaned.
Sounds to me as if he was a very good tenant.
And
listen to me. You want to bring paid bills from somebody that's reputable, that puts their name on a receipt. You can do that. This is nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Can I say something?
Sure.
When I was served with a subpoena to appear in court, I did not, he said he was suing me for $3,000 with absolutely no reason of what his intentions were of collecting this money. I could have gotten the company, the man that did the work, that come in today had I known how to defend myself. But I had absolutely no idea of what this man is suing me for.
Okay. He was suing you for $3,000. Initially, he's not going to get $3,000, and I told him that. But he is going to get his security deposit back.
No, he got it all back.
No, he didn't, and he's going to get it back because there is no basis for you to withhold the vast majority of his security deposit.
Can I show these to the court as part of the damages?
Let me see. I asked you if you had pictures. You said no. What are you showing me?
That's what he ordered Media One without my permission, and he drilled holes in the floor, the side of the wall, and the building as it stands today needs to be painted and repaired.
Oh, goodness gracious me, madam. Looks to me as if he maintained your house in
And I have the name.
Quiet and listen. It looks to me as if he maintained your home in pristine condition. Anybody that maintains the outside of this house the way he did not maintain the inside like a pig pen. What?
Your Honor, he was running a business outside of a residential home, and that's why I called Media One, and I asked him why he had run all the wires into the house, drilled through the floor, drilled through the walls, as the pictures will indicate.
Show me where you paid to have the holes refilled.
They haven't.
No,
Good.
I'm going to have a lawsuit. I intend to sue him for that. This will follow up.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $779, which is the amount of the security that was withheld from you, sir. She had no right to withhold your money. You are getting your security deposit back. Goodbye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
As long as he had his way, he was a good tenant, but don't cross him because then immediately he thought that I was his enemy.
Never live next door to your landlady, ever.
And now the next case.
All parties are Oswego versus Bell. Step forward, please.
38-year-old registered nurse Yvette Oswebu is suing 38-year-old receptionist Lisa Bell for burning her scalp during the process of relaxing her hair.
Miss Oswebu?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, about a year ago, the defendant did a hair procedure on you, and according to you, burned your scalp and your hair fell out.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to what I read in your complaint, this procedure was done in the defendant's kitchen.
In her mother's kitchen.
Why?
That was the place that she advised me to come to have my hair done.
What were you doing to your hair?
She was relaxing, putting a relaxer in my hair.
Your Honor, that was not...
How did you find her?
I met the defendant through her sister. Miss Peach told me that her sister was a licensed beautician and that she had graduated from beauty school and was looking to build her clientele up.
So you went to her mother's house and she started to put this product on your head?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened when she put the product on your head?
It began to burn.
No, you're...
And when she got ready to wash the chemical out, she took me into the kitchen because I told her that it was burning rather badly. But the sink was full of dishes, and so she had to clean the sink out, and she had to get the faucet to work. And she made the comment to her mother, "That's why I don't like to do hair over here, because your faucet is messed up." So my scalp felt like it was on fire. I mean, I was literally standing on one leg saying,
please hurry.
Do you think it was very smart to go to somebody's house to have your hair relaxed?
Ma'am, in the African American community, sometimes people have shops set up in their home.
Yes, but then it looks like a beauty shop. It doesn't look like a kitchen with dishes in the sink.
Well, she had the chemical on my hair by that time when I realized that she was going to have to go into the kitchen.
Okay, what happened to your hair after this process was done?
I have pictures for ma'am.
My hair, see it, please.
There's a before and after.
Now, this happened a year ago. What took you so long?
I tried contacting Miss Bell on several occasions, and she agreed. She said, well, my instructor told me she don't see how you sit in the chair if I was burning you that bad. I said, well, if you recall correctly, I told you you were burning me and asked you to wash it out.
So what did you want her to do?
I wanted her to assist in paying for treatment for my hair.
Did you have treatments?
Yes, ma'am.
How much were the treatments?
I had several treatments. This gentleman, my hairstylist here, did my hair.
Afterwards?
Right.
Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Henry Jerome Clay.
Can you describe what you saw when you saw her?
When Miss Oswego came to me, she made an appointment to get a relaxer. But after consulting with her and examining her scalp and everything, I told her there was no way I could do a relaxer.
She wanted another relaxer?
Well, new growth had started growing out, and black women, they mostly want their hair to look good, you know, and she wanted to try and get the situation better. But my suggestion to her was get some treatments first. Start taking care of her scalp, get her scalp back healthy, and then cut all her hair off and start all over again.
So what kind of treatments did you provide for her?
I gave her a deep penetrating conditioner for her scalp and her hair as well. The hair that she previously had on there during the relaxer procedure, it was breaking off because it had burned all the way through the cortex of her hair.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, Miss Bell, I have a couple of questions for you. You ready?
Yes.
At the time that you took care of the plaintiff, were you a licensed beautician?
No, I was not.
So why do you think that you were allowed to work on strangers?
Well, I didn't think that I had right to, but she knew that I was not licensed. She knew that I had just graduated from beautician school.
You were told that she had graduated from beautician school, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But you had not yet passed the licensing exam.
Correct.
Well, a lay person, that means a person who's not in the business, wouldn't know that you had to pass a licensing exam before you could work on somebody. She was told that you had graduate of beautician school and therefore assumed that you could work on her. Now, you're not allowed to work on her, right?
Right.
You must be her sister?
Yes.
I know that you want to tell me something, so I'm going to let you tell me what you want to tell me. Step up here. What? You're Miss P.
Yes, I am. When I met Yvette in graduate school, I had specifically told her that my sister had just graduated from school. She had not passed her, she had not even taken her licensure exam.
You told her that?
Yes, I did.
Did she tell you that?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I don't think so. Sit down. No. You don't say that to somebody. Try my sister. She's graduated from school, but she hasn't even taken her test yet. She's not licensed yet.
Yvette has specifically told me that her niece used to do her hair.
You want to let your sister-in-law, your sister, your mother give you a home perm. That's one thing. I once gave a home perm to my best friend. It's amazing that we're still best friends 50 years later. She could have used a relaxer. But we were only 12, you see, at the time. But you don't work on strangers. Did you ever get your license?
No, I didn't go back to get my license.
Why not?
I took my test, but I did not. I passed my practical, but I
you failed the other part.
Right.
So you failed the test.
The written exam.
You failed the test.
Yes.
You were never licensed.
Yes.
Well, that's why you don't work on somebody. Miss Bell, what kind of work are you doing now, madam?
Oh, I'm a receptionist.
Good. Good. You had no right to work on her. You placed her at risk, and you are responsible for all of the damage that you caused. The plaintiff is suing for $3,000. Is that right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of the request, $3,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, it's case number 379 on the calendar in the matter of Bishop versus Davis Fletcher.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
You're Anthony.
Yeah.
You're his mother.
Yes.
You don't know anything about this other than what your son tells you. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct.
So why don't you have a seat? Miss Bishop.
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you working on the 1st of August?
I was working at Edge Graphics.
So you drive to work in the morning and you park your car.
Actually, Your Honor, I worked second shift, so I worked 2 to midnight. When I came out at midnight, my car was gone.
You called the police?
Yes, ma'am.
You reported the car stolen?
Yes, ma'am.
2 days later, you got a call, and your car had been in an accident?
Yes, ma'am.
The car at the time of the accident was being driven by you.
Yes.
You want him to pay for the damage to your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Not really the damage to your car, because the car was sufficiently damaged for your insurance company to total it.
Yes, ma'am.
Which left you a balance due on the car note.
Yes, ma'am.
And in addition, you had to go out and put down a down payment on another car.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are suing the defendant for all of your economic losses as a result of him being in an accident while driving your car without your permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. That's what this case is about. Now, Anthony, you recognize that her car was stolen.
Yes.
And according to your answer, you did not steal the car.
Yes. I did not steal the car.
And that you were involved in an accident. It was just that, an accident, so you shouldn't be responsible. Right?
Right.
So, tell me, on what date did you get into this accident?
I don't really know the date. I know it was in August, though.
It was August 3rd.
Okay. So, August 3rd, you were driving her car.
Right.
How did it come about that you were driving her car on August 3rd?
I was telling the guys that I could drive the car.
Just a second. You're jumping ahead of yourself, sir. Let's take it step by step.
Before August 3rd,
yes,
some guys that came to my house, one of my friends told me he had a car. It was his uncle's. So we was riding around in the car.
Before August 3rd?
Right.
Were you riding the car on August 1st?
Right. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Okay. And at that time, you say somebody came to your house and told you that they had a car?
Right.
Who came to your house?
Everett.
And he came into your house?
No, he called my house with his friend Taylor and said his uncle had given him his car.
Everett did?
Right.
Did they come to the house to pick you up?
Yeah, yes.
Just the two of them?
Right.
Did you drive the car on August 1st?
No.
What time did they come to pick you up on August 1st?
About 12 o'clock.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
So you drove the car around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. For how long?
Till about 10 o'clock.
That night?
Yep.
And what happened on August 2nd?
On August 2nd. No, wait, it was August 2nd that they had picked me up because they had a day with the car by themselves. They had picked me up the day after. So it was August 2nd when all this happened.
Okay. So August 2nd, they dropped you off at 10 o'clock at night in your house.
Yes.
And you had not driven the car at all that day.
Right.
And they were driving around.
Right.
What were they doing?
They were driving around, it was like a joyride thing, and Everett, he was just picking people up and showing the car off, trying to drive people around to get some gas money so we keep on driving.
Okay. And what about August 3rd? Tell me what happened August 3rd.
On August 3rd, they had picked me up again because we were supposed to do it all again.
Picked you up at what time?
At 12.
In the afternoon?
Right.
Okay. And where were you sitting when they picked you up at 12?
In the back.
But there did come a time when you got into the front.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
When I got in the front, they had just got back from the store. So I said, I know how to drive, let me drive. And so he said, all right, and I got in the car.
They had just gotten back from the store. Just listen to me very carefully, Anthony. They had just gotten back from the store. Does that mean you were at your house when they just came back from the store? Or where were they?
We had all stopped over at Taylor's house to pick up everybody else because everybody usually lives. They were living like close to Taylor's house.
How'd you start the car?
I turned on I used the key.
Really?
Yes.
Did you leave your keys in the car?
No, ma'am. They found my hide key.
Where did you leave a hide key?
Underneath the car and between like the muffler and the gas tank.
I used to have one of those.
Found out it was a bad mistake.
Now, you said I can drive this car, right?
Right.
Have a driver's license?
No.
You have a learner's permit?
No.
So you know you're not allowed to drive a car, right?
Right. But everybody else was driving the car.
So what?
So I figured I knew how to drive too.
I'm going to say this one more time. You knew you weren't allowed by law to drive a car, right?
Right.
And you weren't allowed to drive a car because you didn't have a license.
Right.
And you don't have a license because why?
I hadn't applied for one yet.
Right. Now, how long were you driving this car before you got into an accident?
Only about a minute. I had went down to the bottom of the street. That's all I was gonna do. Go down to the bottom of the street and turn around just to show him I knew how to drive. While that happened, a fight had broken out, and I backed up. And while I was backing up, the guy that I hit got pushed into the car. I didn't hit him, he got pushed. And then that's how the damage got done. But it wasn't for that. The only damage I did is the back of the window got broken out. But I didn't even do it because dude got pushed.
So what you're telling me is that you only caused some of the damage to the car?
No, I didn't cause any. I was just backing the car up and he got pushed into the car. I didn't do it.
There was a lot of damage on this car, Anthony.
That damage,
Answer my question. There was a lot of damage on this car, correct?
just the back window was busted out. That's all I knew about.
Let me see the car.
After.
This is a very old car.
It's a 92 LeBaron.
Somebody smoking in this car?
When?
When you were in the car, either as a passenger or a driver.
Nobody was smoking in the car when I was driving.
I didn't ask you when you were driving. I said when you were a passenger or a driver.
Yes.
Were they putting their cigarettes out on the car seats?
No.
They weren't?
No.
What were they doing with their cigarettes?
They just threw them out the window. I don't smoke, so I don't really remember any cigarettes.
You wanted to say something, sir. You have anything to add to this so far?
Yes, the part of Mr. Davis here saying that he was backing up the street and he didn't do none of the damage. That's just a lie. And the damage was done when he ran over Mr. Kaiser here.
Is this the person he ran over?
This is the person that was hit by the car.
Step up, sir. You weren't there, is that right?
No, I was just in the court.
But you were there at this accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Kaiser,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me what happened, Mr. Kaiser.
My sister had came out Taylor's house and she was screaming that him and his brother were getting into a fight. I walked into the house and they were in there arguing and whatnot, just going
Who
back
was
and
arguing?
forth. Taylor and his brother.
Okay.
And
Where was he?
they were going to pick him up.
Okay, go ahead.
And when we was in the house, me and my sister were just standing there laughing and whatnot, and the brother had told Taylor, he said, I hope somebody kick your butt one day. And, you know, I was just playing. I said, I'll do it. And he told me, he said, you want to go outside?
Could you just tell me what happened with the car? I'm really not interested in all this, please.
well-
It's really not important.
Okay.
Just tell me what happened with the car.
All right. Well, we were smoking weed in the car. Everybody that was in the car. We all were smoking weed, drinking, and whatnot. And everybody was hopping railroad tracks. Just hopping. He had to be doing like 80. And
Was he in the car at the time?
Yes, he was. And how the window shield got broken out when me and the dude Taylor were fighting. We wasn't fist fighting because we hadn't thrown no fists yet. He was coming down the street because he was like 200 feet up the street and he was gunning it because the tires were screeching. As he came down, he stopped in the back of us and he put it in reverse. And when he put it in reverse, he gunned it back. And as he was gunning it back, I had looked at the car and I looked at Taylor. And when I looked at him, he was pushing me into the car.
Where did you get pushed into the car? Back windshield?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the roof?
That's when I flipped over the car.
So you were pushed in the back windshield and you flipped over.
Yes, ma'am.
And that caused the damage to the top of the car.
That caused the damage to the top, the window, and the back light.
Your Honor. Just a minute. Did you ever steal a car?
No, ma'am.
You ever been arrested for stealing a car?
No, we went to court about it, and they found me innocent of possession of the car.
They did?
Yes.
Well, tell me what happened in court.
Well, in court, They had just found me.
Don't tell me they found you innocent. You were arrested. Is that right?
Right.
You have the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
I have 4.
Can I see all of your documentation? Was Everett arrested?
No.
No. Did you tell the police about Everett right away?
Yes, they asked whose the car was, and I told them it was Everett. They asked Everett whose the car was, and Everett told them it was his too.
I'm going to see if the police officer was good enough to memorialize what he was supposed to have in his police report. You have a copy of your juvenile papers, sir?
No.
All right. Was there a trial?
Yes.
Yes?
Ma'am, his charges were not only receiving stolen property, but he was also charged with
possession of stolen property and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle.
He was also charged with driving without a license and reckless operation were the 2 traffic offenses, along with the receiving stolen property.
Did you testify at the trial?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the result of that hearing?
The case was dismissed due to the fact that at that particular time I couldn't prove that he had stolen the car.
Right. You couldn't prove that he had stolen the car or that he had knowledge that the car was stolen. Those are the 2 things that court has to find beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
In order to be found guilty criminally for possession of stolen property, you had to know the property was stolen beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden of proof here is quite something else, sir.
I thought I had the permission to drive the car from the owner because I thought the owner was Everett.
You wouldn't drive in a car, I assume, where they were smoking weed, right?
Right.
Where they were gunning over railroad tracks at 80 miles an hour, right?
Right.
Where they were treating this elderly uncle's car with total disrespect. You wouldn't be in a car like that because that might give you, put your hand down, that might give you some inkling that Everett either didn't like his uncle or that the car was stolen, right?
No.
So you think that if he had his uncle's car and that if he used it the way this young man describes, and I believe him because the pictures say that that's true of the inside of the car, that you believe that Everett was treating his uncle's car with respect?
No, he wasn't respecting the car.
Right. Well, that's what I said, sir. So what did you think, Anthony? Did you think that he hated his uncle and wanted to just trash his car? Or did you think that the car was stolen?
I didn't care about his car because he didn't care about it, and I wasn't trying to hurt the car.
But you did hurt the car. As between you, who were responsible for the final act of trashing the car, and the plaintiff over here, who just went to work and parked her car, who should pay? Between you, who was directly responsible, because but for the fact that you were behind the wheel of the car at that moment, there wouldn't have been an accident.
The car if the car would have been found, it would have been most of the damage done by Ricky. I shouldn't have to pay for what Ricky did. Now, I did.
Somebody has to pay for it. If most of the damage was done by Ricky, tell me what kind of damage now. Now you're going to tell me what kind of damage Ricky did to the car. Tell me about it.
I don't know what damage Ricky did to the car.
Well, then how can you say Ricky did any damage to the car if you don't know?
Because they said when they took me to trial that damage was done to the car outside of the window being busted. So if damage was done...
It's not just window busted, sir. The entire roof of the car is caved in from him falling over the roof of the car.
But I didn't hit him. He got pushed.
You go to school?
Yes.
Do you go every day?
No.
You've been suspended?
No.
When was the last time you were in school?
About a month ago.
Why?
Because...
Because why?
Because I'm about to get my GED.
Well, what have you been doing for the last month?
Working.
Where?
IGA.
What's IGA?
It's a supermarket.
Perfect. What kind of work are you doing?
I'm a stockman.
Anthony, somebody has to take care of this lady's expenses. Do you understand?
Yes.
You know who that somebody is?
I think you're finna say it's me.
I think you're sufficiently savvy enough to know that the car was stolen, because nobody treats a borrowed car in the way this car was abused for 2 days.
I didn't know it was being broken.
I looked inside the car, sir. Are you telling me you weren't in the car when they were smoking weed?
Yeah, but
Just a second. Are you telling me that you were or were not in the car when they were smoking dope in the car?
Yes.
You were in the car,
Yes.
right? Were you smoking dope in the car?
Yes.
Were you drinking beer?
We were drinking Long Island iced tea.
Long Island iced tea.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
It's a very strong alcohol.
Who was drinking?
Me, him, that man right there, Everett, Taylor.
What's your first name?
Corey.
Do you want to talk to me, Corey?
No.
Or do you not?
I don't.
You just came here as window dressing for these proceedings, I assume.
No, I was in the car at the time of the accident.
Yes. But you'd prefer not to talk to me, is that right?
Yes.
Wise judgment. You had additional payouts on your car in the amount of $1,881.85. Did you pay those?
Yes, ma'am. And there are also 10 deferred payments for down payment on another car.
I understand that. He's not going to pay for a new car, madam. He is going to pay, however, for the damage that he did, direct damage that he did to you, which was $1,881.85, which is what you had to pay after the insurance company totaled your car. So, in a way, sir, I'm very glad that you're working. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 382 on the calendar in the matter of Black, Bauer versus Dino. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
You're her father?
Yes, ma'am.
You own the car, I assume.
It's a lease car. I co-signed with Angela.
Okay, but you don't know anything about this, other than what she told you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? You weren't there during the course of this incident.
No, I was not.
Why don't you have a seat? Miss Black, the defendant was your boyfriend.
Yes.
And according to you, in June of this year, you were at a party, and you claimed that he damaged your car. That's what you're suing for.
Right.
He acknowledges that at this party, or shortly after the party, he smashed out the windshield on your car, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your defense to that is that you believe her insurance paid for it.
I believe so. Yep.
And you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
Which I will get to in a minute. But let me ask you a couple of questions first. Were you her boyfriend in June of 2000?
Yeah.
You went to this party together?
Yes.
She picked you up in her car?
Yes, ma'am.
And had you been going out steadily until that point?
On and off for about 2 years.
So why don't you tell me what happened at this party in June? Because you claim that there is substantially more damage than the windshield that he did to the car.
We were leaving Winona, and I wanted to leave early. He didn't want to, so we started fighting at the party. Then we were driving in the car, and he was screaming and yelling. While I was driving, he was punching out the windows. He punched it probably about 30 times. The rearview mirror fell off. He was punching the dash. There's a big dent in the airbag on the dash. Punched the glove box. That's broken. And it was about a 45-minute drive. He did it the whole way home, was yelling and screaming. So Justin finally passed out in the car. We got to his house, and I ran in and got his other roommate while he was sleeping in the car. And his roommate came out. Me and him came out together. As we came out, Justin was standing up, urinating in my car, kicking my car doors. And that's when Joey came out and told him to get out of there, and then he just started yelling at me, screaming at me, calling me every other name. And then he said, "See you later." I left. I went home.
But then you went to another party with him.
No.
Yes, we did.
We went later that night. My friend Brianna came over and got me, and we went to the street dance, Rochester street dance. He was there. We didn't go together. Me and Brianna went together.
Had you discussed going to that party with him?
I knew that they were all going, him and his roommates. Everybody in Rochester goes. It's everybody. It's just a yearly
I
thing.
went home with her that night after that.
So you went to this Rochester street dance, and you met up with him. And what happened when you met up with him?
He was a little bit more calmed down. He said he was sorry. He was going to pay for my damages. And he said he wanted to talk. So we left the street dance together, went to my house. We got to my house, and I told him that he was still too drunk. I didn't want to talk to him at that time. I wanted to wait till the next day. He still was yelling and screaming.
You mean you couldn't tell that he was drunk when you met up with him at the dance?
You know, I should have, but no, I couldn't. He was
Yes.
at the
Because she
dance.
was drunk too.
I'm going to get to you in a minute. So you exercised a lot of bad judgment.
Right. Yes.
Because if he's drunk as a skunk a couple of hours before, you don't put him in your car again.
Right. I
Did you
shouldn't have.
drive a different car or the same car?
The same car.
With a busted out windshield?
Yeah, another mistake.
Were your parents home?
No, I didn't live with my parents. So then after that, when we went back from the street dance at my house, it was probably around midnight, 1 o'clock, he was yelling at me and screaming when we got home, so I locked him out of my bedroom door. He sat outside. That's when he was punching my walls, said that he was going to kill me, and he wanted to talk to me. I wouldn't let him in. I just let him out there still pounding. He passed out on the floor. The next morning I brought him home, and then again he said he was sorry. He was going to fix the damages. And we left it at that. We were fine at that point.
Let's hear it.
We were at the party. We were both been drinking all day. There was a bikini contest. She was in it. And she went to change. We all, Nelson, 2 of my other roommates, we talked to the girl that won the contest. I gave her a hug. Angie seen that. She got mad. We got in an argument. She was yelling at me, hit me. I got reports. She went to detox before. When she hit me, the cops hauled her away. I got that report here, too, if you want to see it.
I do.
Okay. And then, you want that now? Or?
Sure.
Okay.
Is this the only time in April of this year that you've been taken in for drinking?
Yeah.
The only time?
Yeah.
That's not true, Your Honor. She got pulled over, got a DUI, too, and she didn't have her license the whole time she was driving.
No, I did not.
When did you get pulled over for DUI?
That was way before summer, and I was never charged with it, ever.
You were pulled over
I got
for
the
a
police
DUI?
report right here that says she does not have her license, too.
And that was suspended, and I was not aware of that either.
Mr. Bauer, this was probably not a good idea to co-sign a leased car for your daughter. Sit
Yes,
down.
ma'am.
I have pictures of my car also and estimates and receipts of me paying for the windshield myself.
Okay, let me see it.
Pictures of the car.
It's a new one.
What?
Sorry.
She don't watch the show much, does she? Come on.
You have a receipt for the windshield?
Yep, right in there. After the second page.
$255?
And then the rearview mirror was 15, which is on the third page. And then there's one for the glove box in there, which is $635 for the glove box and the airbag.
Well, what's wrong with the glove box and airbag?
He punched the airbag and they have to replace the whole dash, and he punched the glove box.
Why do they have to replace the whole dash?
Because the airbag, they said the airbag's $635. He ruptured the airbag by punching in the dash.
I did not do that, Your Honor.
No? How'd you break the windshield?
I punched it
How many times did you punch it?
twice,
Maybe 3 times?
maybe 3.
Maybe when you were punching the windshield, your hand accidentally slipped and you hit the dashboard?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so, but you were pretty drunk.
Yeah.
Good.
Your Honor,
What?
there was blood all over. There was urine from him, the cigarette burns, and the punch dash, and the mirror was punched not 2 or 3 times. Look at the pictures. They were punched about 20 times.
You have some responsibility here. Responsibility is you don't take somebody who was drunk in your car.
I learned my lesson.
Well, the 2 of you drink, and you were probably drinking yourself. You shouldn't have been driving a car in the first place, not with him or without him. Now let's get to your counterclaim, Mr. Dino. You say that in 1999 she stole $4,000 worth of checks of yours.
Checks and furniture and among other things, yes.
You were living together at the time.
Yeah, well, she moved out. She called me one day, it was a Thursday, and she wanted to come get the rest of her things out of the house. I said, that's fine. I said, come get it Saturday, I have to work tomorrow. So she knew that I was going to be at work, so she came there with a bunch of her friends from Winona and took a U-Haul and pretty much cleaned the place out. She took a $1,500 leather couch that we were paying for.
All right, well, this is all in 1999. You did nothing about this in 1999, and you continued to be her boyfriend.
I got
Listen to me.
reports right here.
Listen to me. You did nothing about this in 1999.
No, because I did not know that until I went to the bank. I did not know that she was writing all these checks out.
Well, when did you go to the bank, sir?
Went to the bank and I filed an affidavit in like the 1st of January.
Just a minute. Are you saying to me that she forged your name to checks?
Yes,
Let me
ma'am.
see.
Right here, and here's
Let me see.
my checks, and these are copies of all the ones that she wrote.
When did you move out of the residence that you were sharing?
December 23rd.
All of these checks were written before December the 23rd.
Yeah, I know, but she moved out November 15th.
These are all before she moved out, sir.
No, they were not, Your Honor.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a discrepancy between your statement and her statement, but there is some credibility that I must lend to her statement because you knew about these checks, according to you, in January of 2000.
Yeah.
And yet you chose to continue, despite the fact that, according to you, she stole $4,000 from you to be her boyfriend in June of 2000.
I know.
So what are you bothering me with this for now?
Because she's trying to claim that I did things to her car that I never did.
Oh, but you did. You broke her windshield.
Yeah, I know that.
And in all probability, while you were breaking her windshield, you pounded her airbag. And you don't remember that because you were drunk. What?
He also did more damage, Your Honor, than just the airbag, in that the police report and the estimates and the pictures show the cigarette burns and the blood and the urine in the car. He did that too.
And what about your daughter's responsibility, sir?
She wasn't urinating in the car. She wasn't
She
punching
took
the
a
window.
drunk in her car. Not once, but twice the same night.
I'm not for that, Your Honor, but it was her boyfriend. I mean, I'm not for that. I don't like that either. But it was her boyfriend.
You got to get real, sir. You got to get real. She
What
took
was
a
I
drunk.
supposed to do? I know. What was
Listen
I
to me.
supposed to do?
Not you. I'm not saying you're supposed to do anything.
Okay.
You're supposed to take the car back from her. Listen, you stand up here. What are you supposed to do? You take the car back from your daughter. That's what you do. When she's arrested in April and taken into custody for being intoxicated, so drunk that she couldn't see, by the police, because I have the police report, you say to her, sorry, darling, at your age, I'm not going to lease a car and be co-signer on that car until I'm satisfied that you are put your hand down, responsible enough to drive it. Clearly, you didn't do that. And clearly, what she did was she exercised bad judgment again, because the first party she went to, she was drinking. She put in somebody who was probably drinking more into the car. And not only that, but after he had done all of this damage to a car that your name is on, she took him home again. And you say to me, what was she supposed to do? It was her boyfriend? Get real, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $895. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, your counterclaim's dismissed. It's nonsense.
Drinking, partying's our problem, pretty much.
I told her that I would pay for her windshield, and then she ran off to Boston with Matt and a whole bunch of hockey players and everything else, so I never did.
And now the next case.
All parties on Jones versus Darling. Step forward, please.
53-year-old custodian Howard Jones is suing former friend, 42-year-old homemaker Sandra Darling, for money stolen from his safe. Sandra is countersuing for the return of a car and a television.
Mr. Jones, according to your complaint, you befriended the defendant and her children at a time when they were homeless, allowed them to stay in your home for a few days while she was awaiting some money so that she could move into an apartment. And it is your claim that while there, she stole money from a safe.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I believe that you claim it was some $3,700?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Darling says no way, and she has a counterclaim, which we will address in a moment. What makes you think she took your money?
She was the only one in my home at the time, Your Honor, her and her two boys.
How old are her children?
15 and 18, I think, Your Honor.
And what kind of a safe did you have, sir?
It's a small in-home safe, is all I can tell you. About so big.
Does it have a key?
Yes, it has a key and a tumbler to it. The key was kept in my nightstand by my bed. And since I was a bachelor, I had no problem leaving it there and knowing that it was going to be safe.
If you have a safe and it has a key, then you don't leave the key in the same room as the safe, because that defeats the purpose of a safe.
Yes.
Do you understand? You needed the key only after you had fixed the tumbler.
Right, Your Honor.
Did you give Miss Darling the combination to your safe?
No, like I said, it was on the last number, and all you needed to do was go and use the key to open and go account.
So, not only do you have a tumbler that's a second stopgap for thieves, but you didn't use it.
Yes. I live alone, Your Honor.
No, you don't.
I found out the hard way.
You did, Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Now, did you take his money?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Jones, it's very unfortunate when you are rewarded for a kindness by having property missing, but you have to have some proof that this lady stole your money. And the fact that she was there isn't sufficient proof. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Miss Darling, you want to talk about your counterclaim?
Yes. Okay, at the time I met Mr. Jones, I was homeless, living between hotels. My kids was in one place, so he kind of helped me. We came involved with each other. So when I went into the shelter, he would come and pick us up every morning, 7 o'clock, to take my boys back and forth to school. So while the buses...
He was lovely to you.
Yeah, he was. He was a good friend
So tell me
to
about your counterclaim.
Okay, so he bought me a car. After I moved out of the shelter, when he claimed that I went in his safe and took his money, he came and took the car back.
Is the car registered in your name?
The car wasn't registered. We had just got the car on September the 29th. I moved out of the shelter on
So the car wasn't registered in your name?
In neither name.
Let's talk about what else you're suing him for.
Okay.
After all of his kindness to you.
Okay, my stuff was in storage. And
Yes.
once I moved out, I went back to get my stuff out of storage. My kid's TV was gone.
Right. And there were only 2 keys.
I had one, and he had one.
Right.
Okay.
So you think he came and stole your TV?
Yeah.
Were your sons with you?
No, they were at school.
No, but were your sons with you during this time that your television was in storage?
Yes.
And you had the key?
Yes.
Right? You had a
Yes.
key. Maybe one of your sons took the key, went to storage, took out the TV, and sold it.
No, I don't think
You
so.
don't think so?
No.
Well, that's possible, isn't it, Miss Darling?
No, because we've been struggling ever since
No,
I
just
came
listen
in.
to me. I want you to... It's possible. The same way, Miss Darling, you say, I didn't take his money. He says they were the only ones there. You say he's the only other one with a key. You had a key.
Right, but
and your sons had access to your key. Maybe one of your sons took the key and went and took the TV and sold it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You don't think he's lying when you say that money was stolen out of his safe, do you?
I don't know if he was lying.
I don't think he was lying when he says money was stolen out of... Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
Why would he lie after he was so nice to you and your boys about money being stolen out of his safe?
That's what I wonder, too.
He was very nice to you, and if he's out $3,700...
That don't mean I took it. I wasn't...
No, I understand that. I didn't say that you took it. I didn't say that one of your boys took it, although that's a possibility. What I'm saying is, if he's out all of this money, why would you even think, after he was kind to you, nice to your children, suing him for the cost of the car that he made to you as a gift?
My intentions was not to countersue him.
Perfect. Then we don't have a problem. Your lawsuit, sir, is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 432 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Nicoletti. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Miller, I've read your complaint, and I gather you had no contact with your biological father your entire life. Is that correct?
This is true. He never knew I was conceived.
And as an adult, that started to probably pry on your mind, and you wanted to find him.
Correct.
Your complaint generally states that you befriended the defendant, or he you. You knew he had family in Italy, where your father, I believe, came from, or you believed still lived there, and you gave him $5,000 in the hopes of locating your father. You claimed that he did nothing to earn the $5,000, didn't find your father, and you want your money back.
This is true.
Okay. What efforts had you made to locate your father?
I had research programs for people, 1-800-US Search, those type of programs to try and locate him. I have a unique situation because, of course, I was not adopted. He never knew I was conceived. He had flown back to Italy right in 1969 after he had met my mother. So I've never wanted to interrupt his family life. He never knew I was born. He was engaged to be married. I did not want to interfere. I wanted to find him directly. I had made many, many, many searches, called investigators, see how much it would cost.
For a long time. For how long?
Oh, at least 15 years. Adult life. I'm 30. At least 15 years. At my wit's end, I did befriend him. He was very cordial. I explained my situation. We are in the same workplace. So he said, I would love to help you. I do this for people. I would like to help you. So I said, wonderful, let's talk about it. He did graciously invite me to his home. His father was there, very, very nice to me. Both of them were very nice. Said this will be no problem. Came out with a folder explaining that he had done this for other people, different situations, but did know how to contact. Had a lot of resources and connections over there, that his father was the mayor of South Italy, la la la. I was like, wonderful, this is my one hope to find him. So we proceeded. About 3 months into it, just the verbal things, he did come up with, I need some more money. I'm going to need possibly money. No money was mentioned in the beginning. Came up with more money. I need more money because it's getting more in depth. I need to pay some people to do work for you over there because I'm not there, those type of things. I said, what's the money for? A little hesitant. I don't make a lot of money. What's it for? Am I going to, receipts, anything. But I understand if you're making long-distance calls, I owe the phone calls, to Italy. Of course, valid. Time went on. He came back with, so I did reluctantly, but I did pay the money. That is a very large money, $5,000. That's, 4 or 5 months worth of my work. So I did pay the money. My mother was currently dying of cancer. She recently passed away October 11th. When he asked for the money, he did ask, I need you to sign a piece of paper, which I wrote up myself, indicating that you will allow me permission to get information over in Italy from the Italian consulate, the American consulate. I said, of course I will. I drew those up for him, and he claimed that's what he needed the money for, and that was to get passport information, different things that, to me, I would think you would have to pay services for.
Just 1 second. How did you know he was married and has 3 children?
My mother told me this. My mother said he was my father.
How did she know that he was married?
She had an affair with him for about 4 months. He was engaged to be married when they had met.
That's right. That's what you told me. That's what I didn't understand.
Right.
So she had some contact with him subsequently because...
None.
Well, how did you know to put in this letter that he married and has 3 children?
From the family here in San Diego.
And who got that information for you?
I have always had their phone number because I got it from 411. The great aunt and uncles. I never wanted to go to them.
Just a second. So they told you that he is married and has 3 children?
That family.
That family?
Yes.
Not the defendant?
No, not the defendant.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. At this point, he did ask for the money, asked for that paperwork. I did comply with him, and I gave it to him. The things that he verbalized to me after that had happened was that he found more information for me. Great. He found me this piece of paper, which you can show, and he provided me these numbers handwritten, and I went ahead and typed them up myself, and I even gave him, I believe, a copy back of that I typed up. These numbers, he claimed, was possible locations in different towns in Italy that my father, his name, may be under. Later on, he tells me, I found your father, confirmed he's in prison. I said, fine. I said, okay. I mean, he's never knew I was born. I'm not upset about that, but please find out. I don't want you doing anything, illegal, any of that. If he's a murderer, if it's something kooky like that, I will back down. I don't want to go there. I said, I just need the location. Once he finds he's in prison, great. What's the prison? Let me start writing a letter. Let me take it from here. So that was, I don't even remember the date, probably August, sometime in August. I made about 5 attempts at this point from August, and I have them written down, August 16th, 18th, 28th, and September 6th, where I went to his cafe and said, Marcello, because we cordially got along very well. I said, you've helped me out. I know he's in prison now. Great. I want to write the letter. Can I have my documentation where my $5,000 went? I want my phone bills. I want something in writing.
Just one second. Did you,
Yes.
in fact, ascertain that your father is the person who he reported is in prison?
Since then, I know that his information is completely inaccurate.
Is inaccurate?
Yes. 2 days ago, my witness here, George Cosentini, spoke to my father in Salerno. He has never been in prison. We confirmed that he is the birthday of which I gave him initially.
Okay.
And
Just a
my
second.
father
Go ahead.
does know my mother and was in his uncle and aunt's restaurant in 1969. Confirmed all that information. He has spoken to him twice.
Who are you, sir?
My name is George Cosentini.
Who does speak Italian.
Come and stand here, Mr. Cosentini. How did you locate her father?
What I did was...
I was in a dead end with Marcello, so I decided I was desperate to go to the family. So I got the courage with my sister to go knock on my great aunt and uncle's home. Reluctantly, they were wonderful people, welcomed me, believed that this was true, recalled memories of my mother, were crying, and in which case gave me the number, I'm sorry to interrupt, gave me the number of my father's sister, said, unfortunately, I don't know where my nephew is, but my sister, his sister will definitely know. Give her a call. So at that point, after that day, I brought him the number, and I said, please call the jail to verify that his stuff is inaccurate, that it's not my father.
First of all, there
This
are
is the sheet he gave
there are
me.
no addresses
This.
or zip codes if we were to contact the jail.
This
But
is
I
what
did
he
call the jail, and the phone number that we got from information of the Italian consulate said that there was a in prison in Naples. And then I proceeded to ask, can we write letters? Do you know how long he'll be there? Because we're not going to make a trip there if we can't see him or write letters. Then I proceeded to let her know this information. Yes, this is in jail. I said, let me go a little further. Let me call your aunt and just pretend that I'm going to go visit and we want to see her brother, which would be her father. I said, can we have the number? We're going to be there pretty soon. Hoping she would say he's in jail or he's this to confirm what Marcello had done
And it
for
would
her.
be done.
She said, oh yes, I'll give you the number at his home. And I went, at his home? She goes, yes. So I reiterated, I'll go, this is at his home number?
He calls immediately, said, this is my situation. I have a friend here in America, does not speak Italian. Her mother knew you. Do you know this name, Phyllis Miller? Oh, cried, emotional. Said, I knew your mother, her mother in 1969, and I want you to come visit. She has a daughter, and that's how he got there.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kai Miller says she gave $5,000 to former friend Marcello Nicoletti so he could find her estranged father. Kai says he didn't do anything to earn the money.
Go ahead.
Now, I don't want to let her know why we're calling.
Sensitive.
So I kind of covered it up, sugarcoated by saying, my father knew your brother.
Okay, but in the meantime,
I called.
there's a happy ending to your story so
I
far.
called her father.
It's a happy ending to your
And
story.
spoke to
So
him
far,
twice.
you haven't gone to Italy yet, I assume?
February 8th. We are
So
leaving.
you're going?
Yes.
Okay. So the only issue that I have for you, Mr. Nicoletti, is you were given this $5,000. It's clear that the person that you located was not her father.
The person she told me to locate the person that was in jail.
No. The person that you located was not her father.
I don't know.
It is
Your
not.
Honor.
Trust me. Mr. Nicoletti, the person that you located in jail is not her father. You are certainly entitled to be reimbursed for any expenses that you have. Nobody expects you to be out of pocket any money whatsoever to help her. All she wants to know is, since you did not locate her father,
And this is what I get. Sorry, ma'am.
since you did not locate her father, she wants to know exactly what you spent money on and who you paid the money to, and some proof by way of receipts, Western Union money orders, etc., where you spent the money, which is most reasonable. So, do you want to show me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
First of all, when she approached me in Maine, she was telling me about she was looking for.
No, I got the whole story.
Okay.
Listen
I got
to
a
what I'm
receipt.
saying.
Okay,
Listen
you
to what
want-
I'm saying to you. You are
I
entitled to
understand
be
you.
compensated for any out-of-pocket expenses because that's what you said you needed the money for, not for your fee. You weren't talking about a fee for you. You said, I need money to be compensated for expenses. You did not find her father. Just show me proof by way of receipts of what money you actually spent
Your Honor, this is the phone bills where my father called the person several times.
I asked 5 times for those. Why didn't I get those?
You called already. Let me
Yeah,
talk to the judge,
Miss Miller.
okay? Please.
Miss Miller.
I was quiet all that.
I respect it.
Please.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, thank you. This is a receipt for the people in Italy. This is the Federal Express, which I got it from the Federal Express right here.
Okay.
This right here, the letter she signed me, where it says authorize my father and I to locate this person. This is the list with all the people that the family.
No. I don't want to see that. All I want
Right
to
here.
see is the money
this right here.
that you spent.
Okay.
Just a minute. You speak Italian and read Italian?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please translate that for me?
I'll do the best I can. It's not perfect.
How do I know this wasn't typed up yesterday?
Just a second. Listen, Miss Miller, I asked him to do me a favor and to please translate it for me.
Yes, ma'am.
The below written received the sum in U.S. dollars of $5,000 from used for.
You want to help you?
Used for to locate a person indicated
below.
Yeah. I mean, I don't read Italian, but you can.
More or less, you understand?
Yeah.
Mr. Nicoletti.
Yes.
Is what you're suggesting, sir, that I believe that you sent her entire $5,000 to somebody in Italy?
Apparently, I'll tell you the way we sent the money to Italy. My father used to work for the government for 40 years. Used to be an attorney, worked for the government.
No, just listen to my question, sir. Do you expect me to believe that you sent the entire $5,000 to somebody in Italy? That's either a yes or a no.
You're the judge. I think you make a decision. I think you should believe it.
Very good. Then I'll be the judge and I'll make the decision. You gave her this list, sir. Is that correct? Is this the exhibit that you gave to her?
My
Show it
father's
to him.
name is spelled wrong.
Am I speaking to you?
I never give it to her, this one here, Your Honor.
Where did that list come from, Miss Miller?
It came directly from him after the 5th time of requesting. I said, came back to him September 9th and said, why is my father's name spelled wrong? And he says, my son wrote it.
Your Honor, you look at the writing. This is my writing right here.
Let me see it, sir.
This is my writing.
Let me see it.
This is my...
I'm good.
No. You had this piece of paper, sir, in your packet of papers.
No, I don't have it, ma'am.
You don't have this
No,
piece
I don't have it. You want to
this
check? I don't
packet of
have
paper?
it. No, ma'am. I don't have it.
Where did you get this from?
Directly from him at our company.
Hey, why would she have this? She wouldn't have this.
I came back to him upset.
She wouldn't have prepared
It wasn't
this.
valid.
But why should I give it all the items, what they
Because
spent,
that's what I
which
kept
I don't know?
asking for.
Miss Miller.
Excuse me, you
Miss
want to
Miller.
just calm down?
Mr.
I'm listening.
Nicoletti, do I look like I'm in charge?
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Miss Miller, if you speak to him again, I'm going to dismiss your lawsuit.
I understand.
That would be very unhappy for you.
Very unhappy for me.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Nicoletti,
Yes.
there is no question in my mind that you prepared this.
No, ma'am.
You or someone, or your wife, or your brother, or your father, or somebody else prepared this, because there would be no reason for her to have any of this information on here. The phone, USA phones, 450, police cap, Italy, Napoli, officer something, police, Italy, Napoli, City Hall, persons, 2, Napoli, $1,200, gas and transportation, $250, expenses, $450.
Hold it.
She
Your
didn't
Honor.
make this up.
Hold the Honor. When I was talking on the phone, I just remember my son. He was on the phone with my father and tell him the money was spending. He wrote that piece of paper, my son. My son.
Sir, you brought in phone bill.
Yes.
The phone bill, including Western Union, was $196.32. You wrote here $450.
I tell you, because when my father called Italy, he left a message to the letter he wrote. He never was to his office, so he returned a phone call to my father to let him know what the situation was. For this reason, the bill was $3, $4, man. And he charged my father the phone bill when he received in Italy.
Well, then it's your responsibility, sir, to have gotten those phone bills from him.
You Honor,
Mister,
in
listen
Italy,
to me carefully, sir. The only phone bills you have, this is what you've given me in response to my question. You've given me this piece of paper, which I do not believe.
Why? That's a DHL. That's legal. You own it with the envelopes.
Sir, I believe the DHL, and I believe the receipt. I don't believe that you sent $5,000 to Italy.
Really?
Really. I believe that you have a Western Union here where you sent the total amount charged was $172 that included a $22 service charge.
Correct.
Right. And what else did you bring me? Nothing. Those are the two expenses that you have. $172 and $196.32. Now, you have to understand, Ms. Miller, it is very, very possible that there were people in Italy who were not as friendly as the defendant and who didn't like you or didn't feel as if they wanted to help you but wanted to be compensated for what they'd been doing.
Understandable.
You understand that. And clearly there were phone calls that were made from Italy to the United States with information. Now, they talked for here 12 minutes, 10 minutes, not a lot of money. $1.07. Gee, it's cheap to call Italy. Let's give this gentleman the benefit of the doubt that the money that was spent from the other end on the telephone was $250. Right?
There.
Now, somebody had to go to a police station. Somebody had to go and find out what he was convicted of, this person who turned out not to be your father,
right?
Where he was. All of that takes time.
Sure.
Right? Who is this person, Mr.
He's in the police department for almost 30 years in Italy.
Is he still in the police department?
Yes, Your Honor. You know, in Italy, when you want looking for someone, you have to be careful because they don't know who they deal with sometimes. You know, they have to follow a person, they have to see who, you know.
Let's understand each other. The easiest thing in the world, if your father knows somebody who's in the police department, and Italy is not a backward country, they all have computers, the same kind of computers that we have here in the United States. The first thing that you would do to look for somebody is to put their name and date of birth in a computer. And that's what your friend did. And it came up with this name in this prison. That's convicted such and such a date, currently serving a sentence of. You know how long that took? As long as it took me to say it. Let's say it was worth $500. All told, that's $893. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,107. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 351 on the calendar in the matter of Kimball versus Berger. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. and Mrs. Kimball? Yes. You and the defendant are neighbors. According to your complaint, as a result of her causing a disturbance, you called the police, and in retaliation for that, she threw some chemical on your car causing damage.
Yes.
You wanted to pay for that damage. Ms. Berger is countersuing for thousands of dollars because she says you had her falsely arrested. She's suing for malicious prosecution. So let's start. How long have you been living at your present location?
2 months.
And you moved in after Ms. Berger was already there?
No, ma'am. We was there quite a bit of time.
We've relocated.
We was there way before she was.
So you moved?
Right.
After this incident?
When she got out of jail, we moved.
How long had you been living in the location where this incident took place?
Almost 2 years.
And how long had Ms. Berger been living there?
About 5 months.
When did this incident occur?
October.
October what?
8th, year 2000.
That was in the evening?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
Previous to this incident, we had called the police several times on Ms. Berger because of loud music. We called the manager first, and he was afraid to go down there. Then we would call the owner, and he said, oh, just call the police.
What kind of premises is it, an apartment?
It's trailer park. She was right next to us.
Playing the stereo at 8 o'clock in the afternoon.
You'll have a chance.
In the evening.
Pay attention, you'll have a chance.
Okay.
Prior to Ms. Berger moving in, did you have a neighbor in that trailer?
Yes.
Had you ever called the police on that neighbor?
Yes.
Why?
Because he was apparently doing drugs. They had a small child. We were concerned about the safety of the child because we could hear him yelling at his wife, and the child was crying.
Now, on the evening of October 8th, what happened?
The loud music, if you can call it that, it was kind of a booming noise started, and
what time?
It was about 8:30. It was a
No, it
Sunday
wasn't. It
night.
was 7 o'clock in the evening.
Miss
The sun
Berger,
wasn't even down
Miss
yet.
Berger, I'm telling you, you will have a turn.
Okay.
Now, I'm telling you nicely for the second time. The third time, it isn't nice. I want you to trust me on that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We listened to it for a while until we couldn't stand it, and so I called the manager. He wasn't home. I called the owner, and he said he couldn't do anything about it to call the police. So I called the police. They came out in about 10 minutes. The music stopped, and when the police left, she turned the music up twice as loud, so I called the police again. They came right back, and you could hear them arguing with her, and then they left, and she turned the music down. I was getting ready for bed right after that. My husband was in the kitchen, and he heard a man, and
Yeah.
saw it. He has to explain that.
Yeah, there was her boyfriend or some gentleman there was with her. He hollered, "Don't throw that!" And I looked out the window, and at the front of her trailer and where my truck was, she threw a liquid. So I put my shirt on, and
You actually saw her?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did. And then I presumed to go on out there after I got my shirt on. He was dragging her back in her trailer. She was screaming, cussing, "We're going to kill them people," and all kind of snores. So I looked around, and it was kind of a wet after, the dew was already out. So I had a flashlight. I looked, I didn't see no dead places. I did see a little extra liquid, and I was scared she was going to come back out with a gun or a knife. So I returned into the trailer and locked the doors, and the next morning we discovered the damage. It was done, ate up the paint and everything. So we called the sheriff department, and he returned and made an investigation, and he tried to arrest her then, but she was hid in a trailer and wouldn't open it. So it was a misdemeanor. They couldn't break in, so they turned it over to the detectives, and the detectives later on, they charged her, the DA's office charged her, and then she had prior warrants. So when they picked her up, they put her in jail, and she had prior warrants, and she stayed there for quite some time due to the prior warrants. And that we have the police reports and all to verify it. And the pictures of the damage. And
I'd like to see pictures of the damage, and I'd like to see the estimates to have them repaired.
yes, ma'am. Also, our car, my wife's new car was sitting there, and this happened on the 8th. And between the 9th, that's when the police come out and did the estimate on the damage and looked at everything and tried to arrest her. Between the 9th and the 10th, somebody hit my car on the turtle shell with a broomstick, and that's what those other pictures are about. And we presumed it was her. We didn't have the enemy in the place, so. When she got out of jail, we left immediately that day. We had our stuff moved that day as fast as we could. We just couldn't take
How'd you know I
another
was getting
chance.
out of jail?
What year is this truck?
The truck is a 1988, but it's a showpiece. I probably got over $20,000 in just putting it back into original condition. It's a dually, black dually. It's a showpiece, honestly.
Was a showpiece.
Was. It's got 16 coats of black lacquer paint on it. And believe it or not, it was over $3,000 when I had the truck painted, from original paint to the show class finish on the truck.
Yeah, well, they have an estimate to refinish, not any body work, but just to refinish it, $2,006.
There's nothing dented. It's just everything there. All the plastic and chrome's got to be replaced, and then the paint.
Okay. All right, Miss Berger, you recall the evening of the 8th of October?
Yes, I do.
All right. Is this the person with whom
He's
you were
my
living?
witness. He's to attest to a couple of statements made by the plaintiff.
Is he the person who was living with you at the time?
No, he's not.
Was he the person there at the time?
He lives across the street, yes. Okay. He's a mutual friend of theirs.
Okay.
And of mine.
Okay, go ahead. Let me hear.
I was not anywhere near his truck.
Let's start out with the music. How many times did the police come out that evening?
Once.
Once or twice?
Twice. Okay, it was like 7:30 in the...
Just a second. So the police came twice?
Yes.
They came the first time and told you to turn the music down?
Yes.
How much later did they come a second time?
Maybe a half hour, 45 minutes later.
Do you have a police report from Deputy
Yes, I
Conte?
do.
May I
Yes,
have
I do.
it, please?
And I have the detective's
Just give me the report. I'm a good reader. When the police came out for the second time, were you, in fact, told to turn the music down again?
Yes, and it was turned off.
The second time the police officer arrived at your home, Miss Berger, was it the same police officer who had arrived there the first time?
Yes.
And did you have a conversation with the officer the second time?
I believe so. I believe that he just asked me to turn off the stereo and I turned it off.
No, he didn't. He came out the first time and told you to turn down the music.
Right.
When he had to come back the second time, he didn't tell you, would you please turn down the music again? You had a different kind of conversation with him.
This I do not recall.
Why would you not recall such a thing?
Because I've been through a lot of emotional stress due to this whole situation. I do not remember that night. I went to jail for something I didn't, falsely was accused.
Just a second. Anybody who is arrested for something remembers, unless there is a long history of arrest, which we'll get to in a minute, as to why you were incarcerated for such a long time on this kind of a complaint. So you do not recall what the officer said to you the second time he was forced to come back to your location?
Basically, he told me to turn it down, or he was going to turn it off for me, basically, what it boiled down to.
So he was a little more annoyed this time?
Right.
That's better. So you turned it off, and according to your complaint, you did nothing?
No, I did not do anything. I went to sleep. I went right to bed.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Drina and Jerome Kimball say neighbor Linda Berger dumped acid on their truck. Linda denies the charge and is countersuing the Kimballs for filing false charges.
Okay. Now, there did come a time you were taken into custody. How much after this incident were you taken into custody?
A week or two, perhaps.
And when you were taken into custody, did you have a series of outstanding warrants?
I had one warrant for driving on suspended license. That had been dismissed. I tried to get an OR on this vandalism charge. OR was not granted. I had to stay in jail. I had to file for bail in order for me to be released.
Right.
Driving on suspended, I had time served, but they were not going to release me because I still had this vandalism charge outstanding. I had to bail out.
So my question to you is, the initial reason why you were detained was because you had an outstanding warrant?
There was two warrants. One was issued for vandalism, for the one that he had issued against me, and then there was the one for driving on a suspended license.
When was the warrant issued for driving on a suspended license?
A week before.
When were you supposed to appear in court?
For the driving on suspended?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the court date.
Was it 6 months before, 3 months before?
A week before. It was probably about a week or two before I was arrested for the vandalism.
Why didn't you appear in court?
I do not remember the reason now. And it's been months.
Well, Miss Berger, how many times have you been arrested?
2 or 3 different times. Traffic violations.
Have you ever been arrested for driving while under the influence of alcohol?
Yes.
When was the last time you were arrested for DWI?
3 years ago.
Is that when your license was suspended?
Yes.
How long have you been driving with a suspended license?
I no longer drive.
How long had you been driving with a suspended license?
Maybe 5 months.
Why had you not gone to get a driver's license?
Because it was suspended. It was revoked by the judge. There's no way I could have gotten one.
Well, suspended 3 years ago. This is not a life sentence. If it's suspended for 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, unless your license was permanently revoked.
I had to complete an AB 541 program.
Did you do that?
Yes. I just now completed it.
But you had not completed it prior.
Right.
Okay, so you were told 2 or 3 years ago that you could, in fact, get your license reinstated if you completed a program for alcohol abuse and driving. You chose not to do that, but just to go back and drive without it. Am I correct?
Right.
All right, so the judge got irritated and issued a warrant for your arrest. That warrant was the warrant that fell on you at the time you were taken into custody on their complaint. We have that in order?
No. Because I was still
do.
going to stay in custody no matter what. But the vandalism charge was going to stick. I was trying to get an OR. They would not release
Ms.
me. I had to
Berger,
bail out on it.
I want you to listen carefully to what I said.
Okay.
You were taken into custody on their complaint.
Correct.
And at the time you were taken into custody on their complaint, the outstanding warrant fell.
Correct. Okay.
Right. We understand that?
I understand.
Did there ever come a time, Miss Berger, prior to the time that you were taken into custody on the warrant, that the police came to your residence and you heard and saw him knock at the door and refused to open the door?
No.
That never happened?
No.
Mm-hmm. So the officer who made this report and said, we went to Subject Berger's trailer home at the address. We knocked several times, however, she did not answer.
I wasn't home.
That was on the same evening as the incident. You said you just went to sleep.
And I was asleep. I don't remember. You asked the question if I ever not opened up the door for the police.
Yes.
Not knowingly.
Okay. Now, what happened when you were finally brought before the judge in regard to the outstanding warrant that you had for a suspended license?
Time served.
And you had been in jail for 10 days?
Yes.
What happened on this case?
Vandalism charge. I went before the judge and asked for an OR. I was denied. I had to have one of my friends bail me out.
And what happened with that case
The
ultimately?
case got dismissed.
When?
Monday, this past Tuesday. Sorry, this Monday was a holiday. This Tuesday.
When did you move out?
November 1st, 2000.
Is that why you didn't appear in court?
We didn't receive it until the day after the hearing.
It came through the old address, and we didn't receive it, so there was nowhere to go.
Stand up.
They just fell.
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is Walter Kirby.
All right, Mr. Kirby. Do you know anything about the evening of October 8th?
I only have two things about this case I can relate, Your Honor.
Look at me when you're relating both things, sir.
Okay, one is the morning after this happened, I was having a discussion with Jerry here. He was explaining to me what had happened to his truck, and I asked him if he saw her throw that, and he told me no, he hadn't seen her throw it.
That's not right.
And the only other thing I can attest to, Your Honor, is the condition of his truck. When he moved out on November 1st, I helped him load his stuff and get ready to leave, and she has pictures here of the truck at that time, and there was nothing wrong with the truck.
Can I see your photographs, please, Ms. Berger?
Your Honor, they put a solution on it to stop the acids, and which made it not near as visible.
Those pictures were taken the day of my release.
Oh, it certainly looks a lot better.
They had a solution on it, an oil solution to stop the acid.
I understand that, but it certainly looks a lot better. I want you to take a look at these photographs.
Yeah.
How did we know when she took those pictures?
I have no idea when this picture
We
was
moved
taken.
out before she got out of jail because we were afraid to stay there. We moved November 1st.
Well, that's a very, very good question.
When the detective told us she was
Just a
going to
second.
be released.
Just a second. Well, I don't know why otherwise she would take pictures of your truck. I mean, why would she take pictures of your truck?
They
You
put a
did take these
solution.
pictures.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay. I want you to take a look at these pictures.
I have a whole roll.
The damage was on the other side, so, and this here it had the solution on it, and they had cleaned the truck, but they had put the solution on it, the oil solution, and it comes right back. It's right now. If you took pictures of it, it would still be right on there.
Still there.
So that's when we was moving out. We hooked up, and it did have the chemical solution on it, of course, and it, you know, like overnight or something, it comes back to a powder. It looked just like that again.
Okay.
Those pictures were taken the day that they were leaving.
Yeah,
Because
and I never discussed the case with this gentleman here at all the next morning or any other morning.
There's pictures with his trailer being hooked up to the truck and them driving away.
No, I understand when they were taken.
Okay.
I don't think that you would take a picture.
He served a warrant for her from the small claims court originally.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
I would assume that this gentleman has his own agenda. You still living in the same location, sir?
Yes.
Have you ever visited Miss Berger in her trailer?
I've never been inside her trailer. I've talked to her.
Has she ever been inside your home?
No, that's not right. But
Have a seat. Okay, let's get to the counterclaim first. There is no question in my mind that based upon the defendant's testimony, she was in fact held and, as a matter of fact, incarcerated on an old warrant and agreed to a sentence on that case of time served. So the time that she served may have been precipitated by the arrest on this case, which means that they found you as a result of this case. But when you agreed to plead guilty to time served and your penalty was 10 days in jail, you don't get to sue them for that. Do you understand? That was your debt to society. They don't pay for
Even
that.
if I was in jail a lot longer than 10 days, I was in jail for more like 14.
It doesn't make any difference if what you pled guilty, and then you agreed with your lawyer that the sentence of the court was going to be time served, which means your penalty was the time that you served in jail, whether it was 8 days or 10 days or 14 days or 20 days. That was your penalty. Could have been 60 days. That was your penalty. That's what you just told me. So you don't get $5,000
Wasn't
from
it
them.
up to that point?
Who asked you, Mr. Independent Witness?